All right, I think we're ready to begin. Thanks for joining me. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Kevin Eunice. I'm the COO at Empire State Development, and I have been named Howard Zemsky's designee for today's meeting. Before I call the meeting to order, I will note that I will be serving as the acting chair for today's meeting. I would now call to order the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, DBA Empire State Development, for Monday, July 8th, 2019. As noted on the agenda posted to the internet, we welcome public comment on the items on our agenda. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak to up to 2 minutes. Speakers representing groups may speak up to 4 minutes. Those speakers' comments may only address issues that are considered at today's meetings. Please keep in mind when providing your comments that it is our goal to conclude today's meeting, to stop taking public comment at 5:30. As always, the directors have received written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Today, the directors will be asked to approve the Belmont Park Redevelopment Civic and Land Use Improvement Project's final environmental impact statement as complete for publication. At this time, I would ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to the item on the agenda. If so, I would ask you to make an appropriate disclosure on the record now, and we will remind you to recuse yourself from discussion or vote on that item. All right, thank you. I would like to now introduce Tom Conoscenti, who will present an update on the Belmont Park Redevelopment Civic and Land Use Improvement Project, before introducing Rachel Schatz, who will present the agenda item which relates to this project. Tom.
Thank you. We're just waiting for the projector to load.
Oh, you just slide.
Spider-Man?
Yes.
Got a sneak preview.
I thought I got a kick out of that. Shows how few of us watch the movies.
Exactly.
Got a 10-year-old grandson,
Okay.
you'd be there. Tell you that.
Thank you and good afternoon.
Wait.
We wanted to give the directors an overall update on the Belmont Park redevelopment project before getting into the action item on today's agenda. Next slide. First, to give a refresh, the proposed $1.26 billion project would be built on 43 acres of property at Belmont Park, primarily on surface parking lots that are used once a year for the Belmont Stakes and are otherwise used to store vehicles from car dealerships. The project is comprised of an 18,000-seat arena for the New York Islanders hockey team, with 19,000 seats for concerts and other events. There is also a hotel with up to 250 rooms, a retail component which has now been reduced by 85,000 square feet from what was considered in the draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, to 350,000 square feet, up to 30,000 square feet of office space, 10,000 square feet of community space, and parking. Per the General Project Plan, or GPP, gaming such as video lottery terminals and casino games are prohibited. In addition, there is a requirement for 30% minority and women-owned business contracting for this project and 6% service-disabled veteran-owned business contracting. Vehicular access to the project is prohibited from Plainfield Avenue to the east, and there will be off-site improvements to parks in Elmont. The project is expected to generate 10,000 construction jobs and over 3,000 permanent jobs. Next slide. Here is an updated rendering of the project. Next slide. In terms of the timeline, just to recap the process, following a request for proposals process in 2017, the directors conditionally designated the New York Arena Partners Development Team back in December of 2017. We then embarked on the environmental review process that included scoping with a public meeting and comment period, and we completed the DEIS and GPP that was adopted by the ESD board in December of 2018. Since then, we've held public hearings on the project, which I will cover shortly, and completed the final environmental impact statement, or FEIS, which is on the agenda today. Following the release of the FEIS, staff expects to seek approval from the ESD directors later this month to request the adoption of SECR findings and UDC Act findings, affirmation of the modified GPP, and authorization of the project transactions. A summary of new comments will also be provided at that meeting. Following these ESD actions, ESD will seek approval from the Franchise Oversight Board and Public Authorities Control Board. Next slide. In terms of outreach, ESD has had robust community engagement throughout this process. Early in the process, we formed a community advisory committee and held dozens of meetings with community groups, local elected officials, and their staff. This is a list of many of the groups that we have met with along the way. Next slide. Following the release of the GPP and DEIS, we held public hearings in 4 sessions over 3 days between January 8th and 10th. Nearly 200 presentations were made by the public, and several members of the public had the opportunity to speak multiple times. This pie chart breaks down where speakers at the public hearing were from by neighborhood. Next slide. Following the public hearings, ESD accepted written comments on the GPP and DEIS until March 1st, 2019. It should be noted that the response deadline was originally in early February, but based on community request, we extended the deadline. Since the release of the DEIS and GPP, we have received approximately 3,000 letters and emails. 83% of the letters were form letters primarily from residents of Floral Park. In many cases, the same individual sent in multiple letters. Next slide. Included in the FEIS, which Rachel Schatz will cover in more detail shortly, is a nearly 400-page chapter that responds to 740 aggregated substantive comments we received on the GPP and DEIS. Most comments we received during the process expressed concerns about the project, and we took the time to respond to each one. On the screen is a breakdown of the aggregated comments that we received by environmental category. The most comments we received related to transportation, covering everything from concerns about traffic on local roads in the Cross Island Parkway to concerns about emergency vehicle travel times and the insufficiency of public transportation to the site. The second largest set of comments related to the project itself, including its overall size, impact on the quality of life for nearby residents, and questions about its economic impact. Next slide. Our responses to this round of public comments followed the same pattern we have taken at every step of this process. ESD has been extremely conscientious about responding to all public input that we've received, not just the comments we received during the formal EIS process. This slide summarizes major changes we've made to the project in response to public engagement. After receiving feedback from the Community Advisory Committee and Elmont residents neighboring the southern portion of the site, the developer agreed to improve off-site parks in Elmont rather than create a new recreation space on the project site. This commitment was recently expanded at the urging of local elected officials to include improvements to Hendrickson Avenue Park in addition to Elmont Road Park. We moved the PSE&G substation away from the Floral Park Belrose Elementary School based on recommendations from Floral Park residents and school officials during the scoping process. We reduced the maximum hotel height by 100 feet to 150 feet based on feedback we received during the scoping process. We have added nice bus cutouts and bus shelters to the project. We have reduced the retail space from a maximum of 435,000 square feet to 350,000 square feet in response to community input that the retail portion is too large. At the request of Floral Park residents and school officials, we've added a screened fence along the north lot from the Long Island Railroad tracks and the Floral Park Belrose Elementary School to approximately Mayfair Avenue, and are adding a buffer of 8-foot hedges along the school's fence. And last, as was announced earlier today, a new full-time mainline LIRR Elmont station has been added as mitigation for traffic concerns based on feedback that we've received during the EIS process and other communications with the public. Next slide. In addition to the jobs created by the project, there are significant economic benefits. On an annual basis, the project is expected to generate over $850 million in economic output and $2.7 billion in one-time economic benefits. In terms of fiscal benefits, the project is expected to yield $44 million in annual tax revenue to Nassau County, Town of Hempstead, the state, and MTA. And lastly, payments in lieu of taxes for the project, which would go to local school districts, fire districts, and the county, are expected to increase over the term of the lease to more than $270 million. Next slide. In terms of next steps, I am going to leave this slide up while Rachel Schatz gives her presentation. Thank you for your time today. Oh,
You wanna leave it up and sit over there?
Oh, jeez, yeah, I'm sorry, I thought we, can you see it still?
Wanna sit
Yeah,
over-
we can put it back up after, yeah.
Do we wanna leave that up or what?
We can put it up after she's done her presentation.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon. The directors are being asked today to accept and approve the final environmental impact statement, or FEIS, for the Belmont Park Redevelopment Civic and Land Use Improvement Project as complete with respect to its scope, content, and adequacy, and to authorize its publication, filing, and circulation in accordance with applicable law. The directors are not being asked at this time to approve the proposed project. The directors are only being asked to determine that the FEIS is complete, adequately assesses the environmental impacts of the proposed project, and otherwise meets the requirement of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA, and is in proper form for distribution to the public. But before the FEIS can be filed and distributed, it must be determined to be complete by ESD as the lead agency for the project. That is the only action being requested today. It is expected that the directors will be asked to adopt SECRA findings, authorize the general project plan, and take all other actions necessary to effectuate the project later this month. As Tom just explained, we held a public hearing and extended the public comment period from February 11th to March 1st, during which we received a high volume of comments. The FEIS includes a new chapter, Chapter 22, which is the compilation of all the substantive comments we received on the DEIS and GPP, and the responses we've prepared. Comments have been organized by subject and correspond to the chapter structure of the EIS. In addition, there are a number of other changes throughout the FEIS consisting of either new information, clarifications, or project refinements. These are identified and described in the foreword of the EIS. One of the most consistent comments we heard throughout the public process has been concerns over the traffic that would be generated by the project. As you may recall from the December 6th board meeting of the draft EIS's acceptance, we discussed the project's Transportation Management Plan, or TMP, that would be further developed between the draft and final EIS. The TMP plan was required to identify effective measures to mitigate the traffic impacts of the proposed project by reducing peak traffic volumes. Since the DEIS, we have worked with NIAP and their traffic consultants, and with valuable input from the city, state, and Nassau County transportation agencies, we now have a plan that, with all measures taken together, can substantially reduce reliance on private vehicles while avoiding adding traffic to the local street network. A critical measure to achieve this is the new Elmont station on the LIRR main line to be located adjacent to the north lot, which has been added as an important mitigation measure for the proposed project. Not only will this station provide regular commuter service to Elmont and surrounding communities, with commuter parking in the north lot, it will also provide, when completed, access from both the east and the west for arena events and the retail uses. This rail service would be in addition to the existing rail spur that services the Belmont Park station next to the arena that will provide additional service for arena events. Additional TMP measures include incentives for carpooling, signage and customized apps to alert drivers to congestion and provide alternate routes, off-site parking locations with connecting bus service, shuttle bus service from other transit services, and incentives to attract patrons to arrive before the peak arrival period for arena events. Taken together, these measures can reduce the share of auto trips from 83% for a sold-out arena event down to 48% of the total trips by all travel modes, effectively reducing the number of cars on the Cross Island Parkway. For example, during the weekday evening peak hour, the TMP measures would reduce the number of cars traveling in both directions on the Cross Island from over 13,300 to approximately 10,800, or by approximately 2,500 vehicles, which would result in a substantial improvement in congestion and travel times. The effectiveness of the TMP will be monitored regularly and adjusted as needed by event type and other considerations. The implementation of these and any other TMP measures would be reviewed by a stakeholders group consisting of local and regional transportation agencies, local municipalities, first responders, and security personnel, among others. In addition, the TMP includes a required monitoring program to continually assess the effectiveness of the TMP and adjust as necessary. Another frequent comment that was heard during the comment period was that the project was too big. The retail component on Site B has since been reduced to 315,000 square feet from 350,000 square feet. Although the project has been revised to reflect the lower retail amount, the analyses in the FEIS conservatively continue to use the original 350,000 square feet as the basis for impact assessment, except for those categories where the smaller size would be the more conservative assumption. Therefore, the EIS analysis conclusions are more conservative than what would actually result. Akin to this comment was the request that we consider the project without the retail village component. In response to this request, the FEIS includes an alternative that does not include retail on Site B, but surface parking instead. It is interesting to note that this alternative did not produce substantially different results in terms of traffic impacts because, as compared to the arena, the retail village generates much fewer trips that are distributed throughout the day rather than concentrated during peak periods. Some other changes that you will find in the FEIS are the reduction of parking area in the East Lot and the need for East Lot parking reduced to approximately 15 days a year with project mitigation. An additional eastbound through lane for the intersection of Hempstead Turnpike and Gate 5 Road, improvements to bus stop locations along Hempstead Turnpike adjacent to the project sites, updates to reflect the most recent correspondence with agencies, the inclusion of Phase 2 investigation results and materials submitted to the State Historic Preservation Office. The mitigation chapter now includes a full description and analysis of the new Elmont station on the LIRR main line and other TMP measures, with the draft TMP itself included as an appendix. All that said, the FEIS has been finalized in conformity with SECRA and its implementing regulations. The FEIS describes the project and its goals, assesses probable impacts of the project, identifies practical measures to mitigate significant adverse impacts, evaluates alternatives, and responds to oral and written comments submitted by the public on the DEIS. SECRA requires the lead agency to file and publicly distribute the FEIS in the same manner as the DEIS, and to provide not less than 10 days duration for consideration by the agencies and public before SECRA findings can be issued and a final determination made with respect to the project. ESD will hold open this public consideration period to 15 days, closing at noon on July 23rd. Instructions for submitting comments will be on the screen on the front of the room and will also be posted on ESD's website, even though a comment period is not mandated by SECRA. And as I mentioned earlier, it is anticipated that the directors will be asked to adopt SECRA findings, authorize a general project plan, and take all other related actions later this month. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Tom. Are there any comments or questions from the directors with regard to this item? Great. All right. Thank you. I understand we have a number of public speakers today, so I would just like to remind folks and ask that you please adhere to the time limits so that we can have give as many people the opportunity to speak today as possible. Please keep in mind that if you do not get a chance to speak today, as Rachel and Tom have said, you'll have an opportunity to submit comments in the next 15 days. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium, provide your comment. As noted, if you're providing comments as an individual, you have 2 minutes, and as an individual representing a group, you will have up to 4 minutes. Destiny, can you please call the first speaker?
I'm going to call the first 5 people so that they can get ready just in case they're in an overflow room. Dominic Longobardi, Dr. Lynn Tomboni, Michael Longobardi, Gerard Van Brick, and Christy Resnick.
And if you could, when you begin to speak, just tell us who you are.
Absolutely.
I'm just sorry. Once you've spoken, please go to an overflow room so that you can make room for the next speakers.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dominic Longobardi. I am the mayor of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park. I just want to say again, good afternoon, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity and taking time to listen to the members of my absolutely great community we call Floral Park and our wonderful neighbors we have in our surrounding communities. Today you will cast a vote in the next step in the process that began many months ago with the announcement of a development project at Belmont Park for an arena, hotel, restaurants, and shopping. Today your staff will tell you that the project is still the same. Today your staff will probably tell you that we are a small group of disgruntled people who are against this project and that everyone they talk to is for this project. Let me tell you from me the true facts as we have delineated continuously throughout this entire process. From the first meeting when we were introduced to the project, no one said no, no one said never, no one opposed it, no one refused to work hard to make the project work. Very early on, we met with your ESD staff and project partners and discussed various issues such as parking, traffic, use of the Long Island Railroad, security, quality of life issues, and other elements. As this project progressed, new elements were introduced, such as the use of the south parking lot for the shopping experience, forcing the major majority of the parking to be behind the main racetrack and placing it adjacent to our grammar school and many of our homes, leaving our residents to deal with all kinds of issues from security, tailgating, light and noise pollution, etc. We have discussed ways to alleviate these issues, such as natural barriers, directed lighting, etc. Your staff will tell you that they have worked to move and lower the height of the hotel. This is greatly appreciated. They will tell you that they moved the electric transfer substation from behind the school to a further distance. I will tell you that my direct conversations with the utility, including assurances that they would never even consider putting a substation anywhere near the school. Your staff will tell you that the project has not changed in scope, and they would be right. However, the changes in the project have added full use of the parking areas adjacent to many of our homes and our community. The changes to the project have exacerbated the already unsolvable traffic issues that the project will cause. These traffic issues are said to be unsolvable per the DEIS that you generated. The changes in the project will create major security issues for our community with an estimated annual additional cost of $2.3 million to simply maintain what we already have. Who will pay for that? And do you think it is fair to place that burden on the taxpayers that receive absolutely no benefit from this project? There is no benefit to the Incorporated Village of Floral Park whatsoever. Whether you have been told or not, all of this is real. I have been in government for over 30 years, and in my experiences, I have been involved in many development projects that will improve communities. This project, as it in front of you, has more negatives than any positives as it stands now. I want to address one more issue. We, as the village and family, are absolutely not against the New York Islanders. As the New York Islanders have moved their executive offices into Floral Park, we welcome them, their administration, and staff into our home. In fact, this project has nothing to do with the New York Islanders. This is a development project to build an arena that the New York Islanders will play in, and so many other events will take place as well. It is a hotel, a shopping experience, restaurants, horse racing, and an arena. It is a development project at Belmont Park, a project being built on land that each and every one of us own. It is a project that you, the ESD board members, are absolutely responsible for. Therefore, I ask you, before you approve this project, please make sure you are familiar with every detail and aspect of this project. More importantly, make sure you are absolutely familiar with how this project will affect the quality of life of those who live in the areas surrounding Belmont Park. You are responsible and charged with the power to ensure that their quality of life does not change for the worse because of your decisions. It is simple. Ask yourself, if I live next to this, what would I want in the FEIS to make sure I don't have any issues that hurt my quality of life? Once you do that, you are then responsible to make sure the document addresses those issues. If it does to your satisfaction, so be it. If it doesn't, I urge you to take your time in the approval process and ask to ensure that every issue is addressed and no one is hurt in the process. We can have a successful development project. We just need to do it right and make sure no one gets hurt. I thank you so much for your consideration today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Pombano, and I am a trustee of the Village of Floral Park. Without having seen the EIS, I am speaking specifically regarding the newly proposed Long Island Railroad Station at Belmont Park, which today was received very positively by a number of regional and local officials. We would suggest that additional questions be addressed in this environmental impact review process and should include, first, the new proposed railroad station's proximity to the villages of Floral Park and Belrose, the Belrose Terrace neighborhood, as well as the Floral Park Belrose Elementary School, playground and field, which share an 1,100-foot fence line with Belmont's north parking lot. Second, the use of Belmont Park Road for vehicular traffic, which includes cars and buses heading towards the new proposed railroad station. Belmont Park Road runs along the southern and western borders of Floral Park and is adjacent to approximately 20 Floral Park Belrose streets and the Floral Park Belrose Elementary School, its playground and field. Third, the use of shuttle buses to transport railroad passengers to the proposed arena and other venues included in the proposed project. From where will these buses be coming, and how will they travel to and from Belmont Park? If the buses are stationed at Belmont Park, where will they be housed, maintained, and parked when not in use? Will there be infrastructure proposed for the shuttle buses at Belmont, given that the proposed railroad station will be operational 24/7? And is there the capacity for efficient shuttle bus service to transport fans and attendees at the start and end of every arena event, even with the incentives that are being offered? We urge ESD to thoroughly review the FEIS and details of the new railroad station proposal and vote in a fully informed manner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Mike Longobardi here on behalf of Chief of Department Sal Arrigo and the men and women of the Floral Park Fire Department. We are a 100% volunteer department. We serve the village of Floral Park as well as mutual aid to all surrounding towns wherever needed. Being 100% volunteer means our members are all working other jobs, coming from their homes or other places with their families, wherever they may be when a call is transmitted and they need to respond. This means they need to respond to their respective firehouses in town, grab gear and equipment, and respond on the apparatus back through town to the scene where they've been dispatched. The village of Floral Park, as well as the surrounding towns and the majority of Nassau County, is really a small town suburban life with limited infrastructure and roads. I don't know how familiar you are with the town and the layout and the roads, but basically with the exception of Jericho Turnpike, the entire village is comprised of narrow streets with one lane in each direction at most. The side streets basically allow for parking and one main lane down the middle. If you've ever tried to move a fire truck through these streets, you would know it can be a tough task on a good day. The village has already experienced an increased traffic flow which clogs our roadways throughout the day. Traffic is ever increasing, but there is no room to expand the infrastructure to alleviate the congestion. The village's main roads off Jericho Turnpike are Tulip Avenue and Plainfield Avenue. Plainfield Avenue runs directly between Jericho Turnpike through the center of town to our neighbor on the south side, Belmont Park. Plainfield is a one-lane road that cannot possibly absorb any more traffic. We already have traffic backups and delays during the morning rush trying to get to work, trying to get our kids to school. We have backups and delays when school lets out at 2:45 in both directions on Plainfield Avenue. From 4 o'clock in the afternoon, all bets are off for the next 3 hours or more, and the evening commute causes massive traffic backups in both directions on Plainfield and Tulip Avenues, our only two main roads in and out of town. Drivers will sit through changing streetlights 3 or 4 times. In other words, the village is already saturated with traffic and the infrastructure cannot absorb any more. This project will add many times more traffic, given its size and scope, to an area that it cannot handle anymore. Going back to my original point, we are a 100% volunteer department with a primary advanced life support ambulance response. We are one of just a few left in the county that has primary advanced life support first response. The village of Floral Park is a suburban community with many families and kids, as well as large elderly population with medical issues and needs. We respond to over 1,100 rescue ambulance calls alone each year, not to mention the hundreds of fire calls. Yes, that means an average of 3 to 5 calls a day minimum that we need to get through traffic and delays. As I hope you understand, minutes can be the difference between life and death in cardiac and stroke situations, as well as a whole host of other medical emergencies. And it is not only medical. Fires are extremely dangerous situations that double in size every 3 to 4 minutes. That means a house fire can double in size and continue to grow very fast. And with that, intense heat and even more dangerous situations. All this means is that lives are at stake, and in certain situations may only have minutes to spare. And that's just in our town. All of this has nothing to say for how difficult it can be at times to get to our neighboring departments who call us for assistance or get them to us when we need help. Our primary area of one of our primary areas of mutual aid is Elmont and Belmont Park, our immediate neighbor to the south. This project will certainly bring thousands to Belmont Park, which can lead to increased calls and medical assistance. We need to be able to get there and help. In the middle of May, I attended a security meeting between various agencies in Lower Manhattan. While security concerns were addressed regarding the new arena, it was stated that a security study was not completed because other components of the plan, such as the hotel and shopping village, were not complete and not in final stages. How can we move forward in this day and age without proper plans and security studies done? Further, we left the meeting with a final note that resources need to be addressed and mutual aid plans need to be developed. I have explained our traffic problems and lack of infrastructure to expand and absorb it. It is already causing delays and problems responding. As I also mentioned, Plainfield Avenue is a direct line to Belmont Park from Jericho Turnpike and points north. The project right now is simply too big in its current form and will bring entirely too much additional traffic to our town. I am here today to reiterate this major concern and implore you to please review the traffic patterns and make sure a complete, true, thorough traffic study has been done. I thank you for your time and appreciate your efforts to address these concerns and make sure the final report accurately addresses all the transportation concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Gerard Bambrick, the Village Administrator for the Village of Floral Park. I want to thank the Empire State Development Board members for listening to the residents of the community that will be most directly impacted by this project. I also want to thank the ESD Board for undertaking the important role you play on the Urban Development Corps Act of balancing the need for economic development while avoiding the negative impacts the proposed project may have on the existing character of the surrounding communities. At the ESD Board meeting I attended on February 21st, Board member Robert Dyson made what I thought was an excellent point on an unrelated project. He stated that it's this board's role not to just say a project is a good idea, but rather this board needs to make sure a project is a good idea. To fulfill your role, you need to ensure that you have been provided with all the pertinent information. I want to ask you one question regarding this. Are you aware that the New York City Councilman Gudenchik and New York City Controller Singer expressed their grave concerns about the traffic impacts on Western Queens and asked the New York City DOT to conduct its own independent study of the project's impacts and possible mitigation measures? The City DOT agreed to incorporate a study of the impacts of Belmont into its Queens-Nassau traffic interface study. I spoke with the director for the traffic studies for New York City DOT a few weeks ago and confirmed today with Councilman Gudenchik's office. That study is not yet completed. I don't know what the rationale is for rushing ahead of the New York City Department of Transportation's independent study of this project's impacts on the surrounding communities. doesn't it make sense, in order to make sure this project is a good idea and to make sure this project is done the right way, for you to allow the New York City DOT to complete its traffic study before this project is pushed ahead? This board cannot fulfill its objective of making sure this project is a good idea if you are constrained to act within artificial deadlines imposed by others. But any development must be done so that the existing character of the community is preserved. All the factors you hear today from other residents from Floral Park and elsewhere, I believe, compel the conclusion that this iteration of the impact statement, even if greatly improved of the DIS, must be reissued as a draft and a new comment period allowed, so that this board can have all the facts before you can satisfy yourself that this project is in fact a good idea. In the time remaining, I just want to make one quick point. You issued the FEIS today, and perhaps it answers all the questions that were raised during the draft environmental impact statement process. But there's no coincidence that the vast majority of those questions related to transportation. The reason for that is simple. There was no real transportation analysis included in the draft environmental impact statement. It had no mitigation plan discussed. It merely discussed that it would provide one in the future. I was vice chairman of the Nassau County Planning Commission, and it is not uncommon to send back a deficient DIS for further study. I think that's what's needed here for this board to look at the questions. The traffic analysis you provide today perhaps may be a fantastic traffic analysis. You may be setting forth very workable mitigation solutions, but no one knows that. We have our own experts who can analyze it. This New York City DOT is analyzing the question. This process should be started as reissued as a draft. Let the process play itself out. Those mitigation proposals, that traffic analysis should have been included in the draft impact statement, and it's shortchanging and short-circuiting the process to backload it into the FEIS and to deny the residents a meaningful opportunity to review what you determined to be reasonable mitigation for what we're going to have to live with for 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the ESD board, and thank you for hearing me today. My name is Christy Rasick, and I am a board member of the Floral Park Conservation Committee. We are a not-for-profit organization dedicated to the prudent development of open spaces, including Belmont Park. In addition, I'm director of Liz's Day, where 3,000 people come out annually to help fight breast cancer. And I'm a Girl Scout troop leader to 45 young women who are earning their gold and silver award throughout Nassau County. Today, I stand here as a mom, wife, neighbor, friend, business owner in the village of Floral Park, and I am opposed to this massive, expansive mega mall project. I am worried about the safety for my children, the increase in crime, traffic throughout the town, lack of infrastructure with a poorly selected location of a proposed Belmont Long Island Railroad station. In addition, the state is giving this land away for cheap. Why devalue the housing market by selling 43 acres of property for only $40 million? My husband Mark and I moved to Floral Park 13 years ago, and we quickly got involved in the community. As three-time past president of the Wednesday Mothers Club and active in the Catholic schools and churches, we wanted our two young daughters, ages 13 and 15, to enjoy this village. Every Friday they walk to Tulip, grab a slice of pizza, go bop into the yogurt shop or the sweet shop for desserts. In the summer, they bike to our brand new pool. Floral Park has always been a loving, caring, safe, nurturing environment, and we don't want it to change. Mark and I are opposed to this expansive project in our little town. We worry about the safety of our girls crossing the street with increased traffic congestion, as well as large trucks and charter buses rolling through Plainfield Avenue on a daily basis. Every day I drive the girls to JJ's dance studio, to the soccer field, to piano lessons. The roads are backed up already. What will happen when you throw an 18,000-seat arena plus a 250-bed hotel and shopping half the size of Roosevelt Field in our backyard? In addition, your suggestion of carpooling or expecting fans to stagger times of arrival and departure is totally insane. This project is the gateway to Nassau County and should be planned properly. The haste of it being thrown out by setting a meeting on Friday of a holiday weekend at 5:15 and holding the meeting on Monday on the same weekend is really terrible. When you look at our little town, I equate it to It's a Wonderful Life in A Christmas Story. It's like, Bedford Falls. I, too, want to keep this quaint little town like Pottersville. And similar to George Bailey, I don't want to go down with the fight. I'm worried about, we're putting a train station in, but what about the construction of the trucks coming in and building this big event? Have you driven out to Fortune Offs Mall? It's empty. My girlfriends were out at Southampton this weekend. It's empty, too. When I look at Floral Park, we decided to buy 4 two-family houses in our village over the last 10 years. We have emotional and financial ties to our communities. I ask that you think about if you lived in this town where your children are safe and comfortable and very blessed. Would you want such a big proposal in your area? I ask the board members that are voting today, Governor Cuomo put you in this position because he values your position and your thoughts. This is wrong, and I ask you to re-examine and reject this mega mall expansion. Floral Park does not have the infrastructure, as well as Elmont, South Floral Park, or Hempstead. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are James McGuire, Matthew Cohen, Bindi Lanon, Sean Collins, Joseph Fishinger, and Reverend Dr. Sonny Phillip.
Good afternoon. My name is James McGuire. I'm a lifelong Floral Park resident, and I won't say too much. I'm really here to support the local residents of Floral Park. I agree with what they've said, and also our local officials. I think they really have gathered the proper information, and our greatest concern is that there really has not been enough planning. And with the size of this project, we are concerned about not just the short-term impact, but the long-term impact of Floral Park for the decades that are to come. But we don't really believe the total size of this project is the right project. So if it can only be approved as yes or no, we believe it should be no, because it is just too large for the property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Matthew Cohen, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Long Island Association, here today on behalf of Kevin Law, our President and CEO, reading a letter that he wrote to Chairman Zemsky today, and we are hand-delivering today. Dear Chairman Zemsky, as the leading business organization in the region, the Long Island Association supports the Belmont Park redevelopment project. In fact, the LI included this regionally significant project as one of our top federal, state, and local priorities and initiatives for 2019. Accordingly, we urge the Empire State Development Board of Directors to move this project forward by certifying its final environmental impact statement. Belmont Park, with an enhanced Long Island Railroad station, a state-of-the-art new arena, and additional mixed-use redevelopment, will help boost our economy, strengthen our communities, and spur growth throughout Long Island. The project has the potential to create thousands of jobs, generate hundreds of millions of dollars in new tax revenue, and attract thousands of visitors to the region. Most importantly, it will allow for the permanent return of the New York Islanders back to Nassau County, where they belong. We look forward to supporting New York State's New York Arena partners and the Islanders' collective efforts to make this project a success. Respectfully submitted, Kevin S. Law, President and CEO, Long Island Association.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fendi Lennon, and I'm from Senator Todd Kaminsky's office. I'm going to read a letter he wrote today to ESD. I'm writing in support of the Belmont Park redevelopment project with the addition of a full-time Long Island Railroad station on site. This development promises to be a game changer for Elmont and the greater Long Island region, bringing the New York Islanders permanently home and with it an array of economic benefits. The full-time LIRR station announced today is an indispensable part of the proposed complex at Belmont. The project will provide a green alternative to overcrowding area roads and will offer Elmont residents access to their own long sought-out after station. This investment in key infrastructure is commensurate in scale with the tremendous economic potential that this project can unlock for Long Island. The Elmont community worked today to secure the victory, and with there is more work to do on behalf of the Elmont residents. This one is a giant step closer to world-class development and will keep the Islanders home on Long Island. Thank you again for your commitment to this project and the continuing economic vitality of Long Island as a whole. I look forward to continuing to work with you on this matter. Sincerely, Todd Kaminsky. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Sean Collins. I'm here on behalf of Senator Anna Kaplan, and I'm going to read a statement that she is having me hand deliver today to Howard Zemsky. The redevelopment of Belmont Park has the potential to be a force for good in our community, bringing jobs, infrastructure enhancements, improved public facilities, and an expanded tax base, which could reduce the burden on the local taxpayers. As the elected representative of the Belmont Park property and several communities immediately impacted by the Belmont Park redevelopment project, I have been very clear that the voice of my constituents and stakeholders be heard through the planning and redevelopment process. After extensive community outreach and numerous public hearings, it became clear that improved mass transit options, including a full-service Long Island Railroad station, were critically needed for the success of the project and also to earn the support of local residents. As such, I was thrilled to learn that the voice of our community has been heard and thanks to the leadership of Governor Andrew Cuomo, the project will proceed along with a full-service Long Island Railroad station that will support the redevelopment project and residents in the community who have been underserved by mass transportation options for far too long. With this concern being addressed by the developer and Empire State Development, I'm eager to see the project proceed so that we can deliver the community improvements and responsible economic development attendant to this project. As the project continues, I look forward to the continuation of the dialogue that has been ongoing between Governor Cuomo, Empire State Development, local residents, and members of the labor community so that we can ensure the voice of our community continues to be heard and so that we can ensure the project brings the tangible results, high-quality union jobs and apprenticeships, and community benefits that our communities need and our residents deserve. On behalf of Senator Anna Kaplan, thank you.
Thank you.
Is Joseph Fishinger?
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Fishinger with NV5. I'm the Director of Traffic Engineering there, and I've been retained by the Village of Floral Park to review the traffic impacts with this project. And I'll keep my comments brief. There were two major items in the announcement earlier that you all heard, that now there's a new train station as part of this project, and now there's a traffic management plan. I haven't reviewed either of that because they weren't part of the draft EIS. They may solve all of the traffic problems. They may solve none of them. The simple fact is we haven't seen any of that yet. There is a mountain of technical data that needs to be gone through, and I urge you to keep this as a draft EIS until we have the opportunity to review all of these technical portions properly. Right now we're looking at 15 days before you have to act on this. Even if I can generate the technical review in 15 days, you're not going to have the time to digest it that quickly. So I urge you to give us more time to look at this in detail, to review the portions of the EIS that should have been there in the draft, keep it draft so that we can review them properly and come up with an accurate determination of what the impacts for this project will be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Dr. Sonny Phillip. Okay, we can move on to Evelyn Tissimus.
Good afternoon. My name is Evelyn Simmons. I'm a Deputy County Executive for Economic Development in Nassau County, here representing Laura Curran, and I'm going to read a letter from her into the record. Dear Commissioner Zemsky, Long Island is proud of our Islanders, and we greatly appreciate Governor Cuomo and Empire State Development's work to help the team return home to Nassau County. The centerpiece of this effort is the Belmont Park redevelopment project, and I am writing today to strongly support this important effort. The redevelopment project is more than just a reflection of the fierce connection between the Isles and their fans. It will also help build a stronger Nassau County economy. That's why I'm urging you and the Empire State Development Board of Directors to certify the Belmont redevelopment project's final EIS and move this project forward. As county executive, I have worked to stop Long Island from being the land of no, and I have been proud to support smart development projects like Belmont that create jobs, invest in transit, and build up our communities. This project will be an economic engine for Nassau County, generating hundreds of millions of new tax dollars, over 10,000 construction jobs, and thousands of arena, hotel, and retail jobs for Long Islanders. The complex will be enjoyed not just by our fans and residents, but will draw visitors from across the region and provide a strong foundation on which to enhance employment and entertainment opportunities. I am very proud of the productive working relationship between my staff, ESD, and the New York Arena partners. We are pleased to see positive strategies being developed to address traffic and other environmental concerns, and look forward to continuing to work to make this project a success. I hope the ESD board will join me in saying yes to the final EIS, yes to good jobs for our community, and yes to a new home for the Islanders. As the county executive says, yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Reverend Dr. Sunny Phillip?
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Dr. Sunny Phillip, and I'm the senior pastor of Gateway Christian Center in Valley Stream. We are a community-minded church and is very involved with the community in many ways. Our doors have been opened for various community meetings and hearings, and many of our local leaders have used our facilities. I was also a homeowner in Elmont from 1986 to 2003. All three of my children went to Elmont Memorial High School. Today, about 60% of the members of Gateway Christian Center, where I am the pastor, comes from Elmont or Valley Stream. Therefore, we are very interested in what happens to Belmont racetrack property. I'm here to support the proposed development of the Belmont racetrack property with a hotel and an arena. Let me tell you why. I also happen to be a leader in the Indian Christian community in New York. It is larger than any of you may think, with tens of thousands of parishioners belonging to various denominations. We have looked for a convention center or an arena in Queens, Long Island area to hold our annual conferences for many years. Our people, my denomination itself, hold an annual conference called Pentecostal Conference of North American Carolites, or PCNAC. We just completed our 37th conference in Miami, Florida. This conference was held in New York 4 times already, each time with thousands of people in attendance. Since there are no convention centers that we can use locally, twice we had to do it in Rochester, New York. Driving to Rochester from Long Island is equivalent to driving to Virginia from Long Island. One time we had to do it in New Jersey. In 2013, when I was the national convener for this conference, I had to do it in Hartford, Connecticut, because we had no place in Long Island or Queens area. How our community have wished for a convention center or an arena with a seating for at least 5,000 people and attached hotels over the years. I am sure many other Christian and non-Christian groups, along with civic organizations and business expos, share my sentiment today. Here we have a golden opportunity with plenty of land to develop, and with the added advantage of having 2 major airports. When you include the proposal to have a railway station at the property, what a great location it can be. Therefore, members of Gateway Christian Center and I myself wholeheartedly support the proposed development. The second point I want to make is this. I was an engineering student at Brooklyn Polytechnic at the end of the 70s. I vividly remember my commute from Richmond Hill to Brooklyn Poly along Atlantic Avenue. I remember how dilapidated the properties on both sides of Atlantic Avenue used to be in those days. But now, when I occasionally drive down Atlantic Avenue and see the high rises going up on both sides of Atlantic Avenue all over the place, after the arrival of Barclays Center, I am really amazed. Yes, there may be traffic concerns and other concerns, but imagine the well-paying jobs it will bring to the community. Imagine all the development that will take place in the community. I believe the same thing will happen in Elmont, South Floral Park, and the neighboring communities. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are Liam Guilfoyle, John Ledecky, Tom McCarthy, Kim Frachak, Dana Weissman.
Hi, this is Debbie Royce from Empire State Development. If you're on the line, could you please mute your...
I'm Linnea Rage. How do I know you? I didn't date you or anything.
Hello, this is Debbie Royce from Empire State Development. I wonder if you could just please mute your lines if you're on the call. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is Liam Guilfoyle
They're like cats on a hot tin roof, these two guys.
close by?
Who are these guys? Do we know these two guys?
I don't know.
You see them getting up and down?
We'll skip to John Ledecky.
Good afternoon. My name is John Ledecky, and I'm a co-owner of the New York Islanders hockey team. Thank you to the Empire State Development Corporation, and particularly your staff, for your professionalism, commitment, and unwavering support of the governor's vision. A particular thank you to Governor Andrew Cuomo and his staff, who have made it possible for the New York Islanders and our loyal and passionate fans to fulfill their dream of having a proper National Hockey League arena in the Metro New York market. I also want to thank the many fans who are here today in this room and in the various holding rooms for taking time out of your schedule to be here. We love you and we thank you for your passion and support of our team. We sincerely want to thank the Elmont community and the broader Long Island community for their important support. We are thrilled to be returning to our proper home on Long Island. One of the things that has meant the most to us in this process is to have had the chance to work with and learn from the local community. Many of the speakers I've met with, and we understand their concerns. The plan put forward today is better thanks to their input. Simply put, the Islanders are the people's team. The Islanders have been supporting Long Island schools, hospitals, fire and police institutions since 1972. We are thrilled to be able to continue to do this for decades to come. We are grateful to be part of the future of Elmont and of this great community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tom McCarthy.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the board here for this presentation. But my name's Tom McCarthy. I'm a lieutenant with the Floral Park Police Department. Generally, our concerns are mostly with safety concerns, specifically around Plainfield Avenue. Excuse me. Our biggest concern with Plainfield, if you don't know about it, I mean, it's a very old road. It appears on maps dating back to the 1700s in the area. Most of the development along the road predates the Depression and is predominantly residential. It was designed for a different era when cars were less prevalent. Current conditions have already stressed the roadway. Traffic volume is already intolerable in the late afternoon, and excuse me. And currently, there's heavy commercial traffic, including semi-trailers. It is the sole north-south route east of 222nd Street for commercial vehicles. 2 miles away 222nd Street lies 2 miles west of Plainfield Avenue. The Cross Island Parkway is 1.5 miles to the west, but it's passenger cars only. And anyone that is on the Cross Island Parkway already realizes that that road is a parking lot for a good part of the afternoon and day. Right now, I mean, our major concern is that there's likely to be even additional commercial traffic from Eastern Long Island, deliveries, buses, and also passenger cars because of the congestion on the Cross Island Parkway. The way that we see it for our enforcement efforts is that the additional traffic on Plainfield it's basically an unfunded mandate on us to have to enforce the laws and take reports for additional accidents, and that that's imposed upon the police department as well as the residents of the village. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Kim Fredchak. What about Liam Gil? Oh, Kim. Hi.
Good afternoon. My name is Kim Fratchek. I'm the director of Sane Energy Project. We represent 7,500 New Yorkers working for the past decade to halt fossil fuels and move our economy to 100% renewable energy. I know this may seem like it might be a little off topic, but there's a reason that I'm here to speak. I'm here to put the following points on record and for your consideration. First, the hearing was announced over the 4th of July weekend with 3 days' notice and miles from the community. This is not a good sign that you're interested in the public's input. From the Empire State Development Corporation should meet its mission, be transparent and responsive to the needs of diverse communities across the state, and provide early stage support for new ventures, including research and development of new technologies. The Belmont development has been shrouded in opaqueness, not just for the local community, but for the regional community. And we know that the Williams Pipeline has reapplied for their Northeast Supply Enhancement Project. We know that it was once slated to power the Belmont Arena, and we want to just put on record that, I don't know if you're aware, that in opposition are 260 New York State organizations, 25,000 petitions, 26,000 legal comments to the New York DEC, over 60 New York State and federal elected officials, New York City Council resolution opposing the pipeline, and the DEC has denied this pipeline twice. We have no way to know if you're including this in your plans if the reapplication of the pipeline is approved. And we would like the chance to work together on renewable technology and development of all ESD plans moving forward. We know that an above-ground propane tank was opposed, and just hearing from the fire department of Floral Park, it blows my mind that that would be proposed in the community. We would also like to see the exchange with Homeland Security regarding the denying of this pipeline due to danger. We know there's an active lobbying campaign to approve the Williams-Nessie project. We want to acknowledge that pipelines are also prone to explosions when geothermal energy and energy efficiency is the perfect heating and cooling mechanism, especially if there's an ice rink involved. Conclusion is that building this arena without genuine community involvement is not meeting your mission and taking into account the health, safety, and democracy of New Yorkers. There's another way to build flourishing business in our state by supporting local economies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dina Weissman, sorry.
Good afternoon. I'm Dana Weissman. I am a almost 45-year resident of Floral Park, and let me first tell you that my grandson big Islander fan, and what he's excited about with this arena, so am I. I'd like to see you bring this to a successful conclusion. But I had two big problems the first time I read the DEIS report back in December, and I attended the meetings that they had in February for us, and I don't think I've heard answers to those two big concerns that I've had. Number one is the traffic situations. You've heard a lot of truth from the people that came before me, from our mayor and from the other officials here. Plainfield Avenue is a horrible place to be late in the afternoon trying to move up or down, north or south. All I can tell you is imagine what's going to happen once the arena starts bringing in a lot more traffic. I have not heard any real substantive types of improvements, because building bus shelters and improving the bus lines, that's not going to do it. Talk to Fred Wilpon and ask him how many people take the Long Island Railroad to a 50,000 person Met game. I would guess that it's something like 10% or less. It's not a lot. Building that station, it's going to be wonderful to have, but it's not a panacea that's going to solve the problems. So I ask you, please reconsider what your mission is of transparency and full disclosure, of looking into these details. Don't let these issues stand unmitigated. If you see proper solutions that's really going to fix the problems, then I will support your decision of however you make it. The other thing, very quickly, because I only have a few seconds, is the scope of the plan. I wasn't a fan of the scope of the plan with the retail stores. I'm a retail professional. I don't know any retailers in the world that want to build and open stores right now, except if you have luxury stores opening next to a casino. In reading the DIS, I read that the draft that you're approving of and voting on, supposedly today, excludes gambling and wagering for a casino type activity. What I do not see is a ban for those type of activities for the next 99 years. I urge you to make sure provisions like that are put in so that there's not some new proposal in the year 2021 or 2022 to bring a casino into that area. Because I think once you make that clear that there will never be a casino, that hotel and the retail outlet, they're going to leave on their own. Thank you for your consideration.
Hello, folks. I'll be brief. My name is Liam Guilfoyle. I'm a homeowner in Floral Park. Up until this moment, I was a lifelong Islander fan. I don't see that happening. I don't believe that anybody could look at this plan and think for 1 second that the impact on my community is not going to be a disaster. Not just from traffic. Traffic's the least of my concerns. The noise, the people who come in and out of my neighborhood that I no longer know, and the fact that this board called this meeting on Friday for today shows a lack of genuineness that lets me know that basically everything I say right now isn't even going to be considered. My children love my neighborhood, as do the children they play with, and I wonder how many of the people wearing Islanders jerseys in this room actually live in my neighborhood. It's a joke.
Thank you.
So the next 5 speakers are Patrick Down, Ann Rona, Bill Abbott, Erica Lemke-Sokol, and Teresa Paterno. Patrick Down.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Dowd. I'm a longtime Long Island resident and a season ticket holder for the Islanders, and I've been a fan since 1972.
Will you speak on the microphone a little bit?
Of course, sir. And I'd like to say that I've grown up as an Islander fan, and my daughters have all been Islander fans through the years. I've seen the Islanders win 4 Stanley Cups, and I have seen the Islanders fans celebrating and enjoying hockey on Long Island. And as much as this project might be difficult to some people here, the same sort of situation occurred back on Long Island with the Nassau Coliseum. And a lot of people had issues about this project at that time, and the Islanders worked that out, and the Coliseum was successful, and businesses thrived. I recently put a petition up with the help of my daughters, and we got 13,000 people in support of this project. I believe at the end of the day that this board will make a wise decision to support the project and keep the Long Island team on Long Island where they belong. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Rena?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ann Rena. I am the Community Relations Director for the New York Islanders, and today I speak to you on behalf of the numerous Islander fans and community members who are in support of the project. To date, we have collected over 10,000 signatures in support of the project, along with numerous letters from different community members. Today, I'm here to read 3 of them, and the rest will be submitted for the record. To whom it may concern, we are writing this letter to add our support for the New York Islanders' proposed relocation to the Belmont area. We believe it would be for the benefit of both New York State and Nassau County. We would expect new jobs, additional revenue from taxes, and lastly, I would keep the New York Islanders on Long Island and in New York State rather than moving to another state. The New York Islanders are a 4-time Stanley Cup champion team that has a large Nassau County following and should remain on Long Island. If you wish to speak to us about this, please don't hesitate to contact us. Sincerely, John D'Erico and Lorraine D'Erico. To whom it may concern, I have lived in Elmont 57 years. Every so often there's a plan to revitalize Hempstead Turnpike near Belmont Racetrack. So strange, streetlights are put in and that ends the revitalization. Developing the available land with an arena, stores, hotel, etc. would finally give this true area a real revitalization. The entire South Side parking now houses cars from dealers. Of what benefit is that to the area? Building would create the need for a workforce with permanent jobs. Build, build, build. Sincerely, Helene Schneider. Dear Empire State Development Group, I'm writing to you as a business owner and lifelong New York Islander fan in support of the redevelopment of the Belmont Park property. Since its expansion into the National Hockey League in 1972, the New York Islanders hockey team has been a tremendously important part of the Long Island community. Not only has the team brought pride to the community in winning 4 straight Stanley Cup championships, but games and team events have so often been the source of treasured family time and memories. Some of my most treasured memories as a child are of going to the games with my father. And if we didn't go to a game, then my parents, grandparents, and I would be sitting in front of the television with pizza watching our Islanders play. The Nassau Coliseum has bore witness to the greatness, the fun, and all the memories for so many. The building was not just bricks and mortar, the building was home to the fans and our team. When I walked the concourse to my seat, I would see the same people whether they were fans or workers. They all became friends over the years. Generation after generation had come together in that building to root for our team and to continue to weave the thread that bound us all together. When the team moved to Brooklyn, the thread was broken. My biggest disappointment in that was my daughter would not be able to grow up with the same hockey experience that I had had, experiencing the same good, wholesome family time going to games and rooting for our team in person. Now there is a renewed hope for a permanent home on the horizon. If Belmont Park is redeveloped to create a new state-of-the-art arena for the New York Islanders, the entire community will benefit. There will be tremendous economic benefit with the creation of new jobs and increased sales tax revenue. The team can reestablish its home and dedication to the community. The players will feel confident in signing long-term contracts and will put roots down in the community with their families. Finally, the fabric of the community will be mended and we can all return to the great tradition that is family, friends, and New York Islanders hockey, not just for today, but for generations to come. Thank you for the opportunity to offer my humble opinion in this matter. Very truly yours, Nicole Cardiello. The rest will be put forth to the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Abbott? Is Bill Abbott here?
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm a lifelong Islander fan. First game was December 14th of 1974, so have been to many games and have been a season ticket holder as well. It is vital for the team to get a new arena, as everybody knows, given the economic challenges that the franchise faces. It's not only critical, though, for the team, but I think it's critical for Long Island. I'm lucky in my job that I get to travel around the United States, and I see the difference in cities that have franchises and have the economic development and have the rooting that a franchise sports team gives, and I see cities that don't. And a couple of good examples are Nashville. Nashville is booming, given that the Predators and the Titans play in Nashville. It has changed the city. Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, was a complete train wreck before the Staples Center was built. It has revitalized Los Angeles. So I'm a lifelong Islander fan. I love the Islanders, but I love Long Island even more. And for everybody's sake on Long Island, keeping the team here and keeping the passionate fans as part of Long Island is critical to the success of Long Island long term. Thank you.
Who do you represent? You didn't indicate.
We didn't get your name in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bill Abbott, Long Island resident.
Okay, Mr. President. Okay, thank you. Yeah, right, exactly.
Erica Lemke, Sokol.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to speak. Not only am I a lifelong Islander fan, my husband, my children are now lifelong Islander fans. I'm a Girl Scout troop leader. I'm a mom to a 10 and 11-year-old. The Islanders need a home. They need a permanent basis on Long Island. That's where they should be playing. They shouldn't be splitting time. They should not be in Brooklyn. I can tell you from taking my children to games at the Nassau Coliseum and then having to go into Brooklyn, it's been a nightmare for my children. Having them come home at night at 11:30, sometimes 12 o'clock at night, there was no way for them to now enjoy games. So that was a tradition that changed in my family with going to Islander games. Being able to go back to the Coliseum and with the hopes that the Islanders have a home on Long Island has meant everything to them. My son, at the age of 5 years old, going to his first Islander games, it made him develop a love of hockey. He now plays on a AA team, travel ice hockey. He's learned from the community, the things that the Islanders do for the community. They go shopping. They have their children's foundation. My son now, every Christmas, goes to Target as if he's an Islander player and buys toys to give back to the Homeless Association of Long Island. My daughter, my Girl Scout troop, they only want to go to an Islander game. It's very difficult to now take these girls into Brooklyn. It's really not happening with that many girls. These are girls who are turned on to a sport that they would never be, and as well as the community relations. The Islanders, they need a home. They're a tradition of championships. They need a home to attract the players to come there. And it's a great time. My kids actually put down their phones and forget about texting and Fortnite for the 2.5, 3 hours that we're at a game. And that, to me, is priceless. That's why they need to be on Long Island and have a permanent home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, please, to make sure that people introduce themselves and indicate what group they're from sometimes, because even though you might say we don't hear it from here, please.
Erica Lemke, and I'm a lifelong resident of Long Island.
Thank you.
Teresa Paterno.
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Paterno. I am from the St. Baldrick's Ladies' Night Committee, who's we live in Floral Park for the most part. Thank you for inviting us here to your office to have us voice our concerns over the proposed Belmont project. I realize you all have families, and we appreciate your taking your time on this Monday after such a busy holiday weekend. I've been a resident of Floral Park for the last 5 years. I moved in, we bought a house, we renovated, and I immersed myself into the community. I first joined the Wednesday Mothers Club, as Christy told you before she was president. So was I. It's a 70-year-old organization that has been generational. They took me in as a new member to the community, and I was president the second year, and it's been off to the races ever since. We actually spearheaded St. Baldrick's Ladies' Night there with a $1,000 bake sale. So we started small, $1,000. This year, we actually raised over $200,000 with 800 local women showing up in support of pediatric cancer research. And it's not just us. The Ladies' Night is kind of an aside, just to give you a little background. The children and families of Floral Park have really put themselves forward to, it's amazing. It's the kids that are the story. They shave their heads every year. And to date, since we've started St. Baldrick's, and that affects all of us across everything, divides, we've raised over $4 million for pediatric cancer research. And it's the kids that are shaving their heads 90% of the time. So my point is, Floral Park shows up, whether it's for Liz's Day or for St. Baldrick's, or if it's for the Hands Foundation. We show up. We're a family-oriented town with great schools. In fact, my son Jack goes to Floral Park Belrose, and that abuts this project, and that's primarily why I'm here. I'm worried. The school is so close to what promises to be a beehive of activity, and I believe it's going to be 365 days. I like the Islanders too, but I have to tell you that you might think, oh, it's 3:15, they get out of school, it's the end of it. That's not the case. We have all our soccer and our sports are housed in those back fields, which abut that property. You guys mentioned an 8-foot hedge. How far back will it go from the school? Like, what's going to protect our kids from tailgating, from maybe things that are just more adult oriented that you and I both all know goes on at a tailgate? 8 feet hedge might not be enough. And we have 800 families just in soccer. So that'll give you some idea of how frequently these fields are used. Basically, how can we as a community be in partnership with the ESD to protect our young children and families from the influences of the crowds attending these events? And it's not just the Islander game. It's other things will be there as well. I mean, if it was church all day long, I'd be, all right, we're good. But we all know. So, as you know, also, our police force is funded through village tax dollars. With such an influx of people coming into Western Nassau, right through our little village, how can we effectively police the area and handle emergencies during highly attended events, as most of these events will be scheduled during already high peak traffic times? The village residents are not in the position to fund additional police in emergency. Our taxes already top the charts. And can the ESD help us understand how this would be worked into the proposed plan? One thing I wanted to also mention is the additional retail space that's been added to the project. I can't understand how this is a viable use of space given the slow death of brick and mortar. In fact, I just came back from out east, and so many of the storefronts are shuttered. In what was once considered a bustling retail area, you see nothing but vacancies with for rent signs in all the windows. I urge you to take a drive along Main Street to see and really consider the shopping habits across all retail tiers before you construct those buildings. I respectfully ask you to please read the proposal. There must be a way to protect and preserve the security of our neighborhoods of both Floral Park and Elmont. I know it's not easy to be the one to say, wait a second. The fine print's and time-consuming and to read, but the devil's in the details. Please, speak up. Please let Governor Cuomo know. I know he's busy. You guys are the front line on this, so can you please consider us? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are Tanya Laws, Matthew Archich, Marina Trentacost, Deputy Mayor Kevin Fitzgerald, and Nicholas Zakia. Is Tanya here? Okay. Matthew?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to address you here today. I have two letters to read. One is from LICA, which is the Long Island Contractors Association. On behalf of Mark Herbst, I will read that letter today. Dear Commissioner Zemsky, the Long Island Contractors Association, or LICA, remains enthusiastically supportive of the Belmont Park Redevelopment Civic and Land Use Improvement Project, as well as the proposed transit accessibility improvements for the site. The $1 billion redevelopment project, in addition to providing a new home for the New York Islanders, will create a major economic destination for other sports, entertainment, retail, and hospitality. This tourism destination is expected to add 3,100 permanent jobs to our region. Our member firms are anxious to compete in offering its expertise and services to assist New York Arena partners, the selected joint venue team in redeveloping this important site. The LICA firms look forward to employing many of the anticipated 12,300 workers for the construction job expected for this project. As you know, LICA represents the interests of over 150 of Long Island's region's premier heavy construction general contractors, subcontractors, suppliers, industry supporters, focused primarily on the infrastructure of construction industry, such as site development, highways, bridges, rails, sewers, and other public works projects. LICA's members' companies play a significant role in Long Island's Nassau and Suffolk counties. The economic impact of this industry contributes to $4 billion to the local region's gross regional product. Very truly yours, Mark Herbst, Executive Director.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
I will. My name is Matthew Arasich. I am the President of the Building and Construction Trades Council for Nassau and Suffolk counties. I also have one for the record with my business card in, so you can get the spelling. Dear Commissioner Zemsky, on behalf of the Building and Construction Trades Council of Nassau and Suffolk counties, headquartered on Long Island in Hauppauge, New York, I respectfully submit the following comments on behalf of organized labor in response to the notice of this hearing. The Building Trades Council is comprised of 37 unions with a cumulative membership of more than 60,000 members. My primary focus as president is to create or foster economic and employment opportunities for the tradespeople of Long Island. We advocate for building safely and responsibly, using project labor agreements whenever possible for public construction projects and involving public funds, encompassing participation amongst municipalities, agencies, contractors, and labor unions. This ensures that only the highest quality work is proudly on display every day for the Empire State's residents, businesses, industries, and tourists. New York Arena Partners has plans for this $1.3 billion multi-purpose arena development in Elmont in the town of Hempstead in Nassau County. Groundbreaking construction is scheduled to begin in 2019 and scheduled to be completed in 2021. It will serve as the NHL's New York Islanders' home and offer a rare opportunity for Long Island to lure back a franchise that was long been gone. New York Arena Partners made it a priority to attract the right prospect that will create thousands of jobs, thousands of new high-quality New York or Long Island jobs in construction, ticket sales, hospitality, and maintenance. Our council believes that the key to realizing this awesome opportunity actually begins with a plan that commits to building projects with a local workforce that will yield permanent jobs here on Long Island, along with a substantial community benefits program that will bring expanded local tax base. I've attended many of the Belmont hearings and patiently awaited hearing about the outcome of this project. I went to the extent of encouraging the developer to meet with our trade so that we can find better ways to partner and make this project work for all parties. By doing so, we were successful in producing more competition from the very beginning in the request for proposals and provided the developer considerably more information on bidders and cost options, offering potential savings. When dealing in any type of entertainment, attracting the right clientele is the only way that a business survives. I proudly state that the largest contingents of patrons who attend today's sporting events are blue-collar workers. This is why building a brand new home for the Islanders at Belmont Park Arena will be so successful. These are the workers, the homeowners, renters who bring families, friends, and make Long Island what it has been for generation after generation. A great place to live, work, and play. Belmont Park Arena is the ideal project that will return Elmont to a level of prominence on Long Island and encourage visitors to make that trip to Belmont. It is for these reasons and many more that I am proud to provide the Council's enthusiastic support for this project. Therefore, the Building Trades Council urges the Board to commit to an authorization to accept and approve the final environmental impact statement and authorization to publish, file, and circulate the FEIS. I thank you again for the opportunity to address you here today. Sincerely, Matthew Arasich.
Thank you.
Marina Trentacast.
Thank you. My name is Marina Trentacast. I guess I represent the typical Floral Park family. My husband and I have been there almost 40 years. We chose to raise our children there, educate our children in the area. We were both teachers in the area. Each of our 3 children have bought homes in Floral Park, so there is a great vested interest. I'd like to just comment on a few of the statements made by our elected officials and by some of the people that spoke here today. Start with our mayor, who spoke to start the public comment area of this meeting. No one in Floral Park said no when the suggestion of development for Belmont was proposed. Many of us have been to just about every meeting that was humanly possible to attend. Many of us have spoken. At each meeting, we left with more questions than were answered. What made me nervous was the word final that was put to this vote today. We received a notice by public media that the meeting was scheduled late on Friday. Many of us changed schedules to be here because it is that important. I asked the members of this committee, just look around at the people that have made the effort to come on short notice to share their opinions. Our mayor said something very profound that I'd like you to listen to. Take your time. When the reports were made by our public servants, the fire, the police, there are serious issues. Your traffic mitigation is not solved by the Long Island Railroad because we don't know what the parameters are. The mitigation issues are always proposed. We have never received any details. We are all for development, reasonable, safe, productive development. Take your time, be thorough, review now, not after it started and you get a panel of experts to review. We're counting on your expertise and your love for your communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Kevin Fitzgerald.
Thank you. As the Deputy Mayor of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park, which shares an extensive and century-old neighborly border with Belmont, I would like to call to the attention of the board some significant concerns and issues with regards to the project. The Village of the Floral Park has been involved with this project since the summer of 17, when we submitted the vast majority of the questions during the RFP process. I attended the December 17, 2017 ESD board meeting, at which time one of the ESD project managers stated, and I quote, "The designation of the project started the process to work with the community to ensure that this is a benefit for everyone, and we should hear from local communities about all their totally valid concerns, and the ESD team is on board that process needs to be a give and take." Additionally, after I was afforded the opportunity to speak at that meeting, Chairman Zemsky stated, "ESD board and staff are eager to engage with the community to bring a successful collaborative project to completion to the benefit of the island and all the continuous communities, and you should have a sense of that spirit of as the project moves forward." I left that meeting extremely hopeful that my final comment that day, which was ensuring that the way of life of Floral Park would at least stay the same, or if not improve, would hold true. As for the next few months, it seemed to ring true as the ESD, the New York Islanders, and the New York Arena partners took us up on the offer to tour Floral Park and separately meet with our residents. Unfortunately, once the DEIS was released and the project significantly changed in scope, with more direct impacts on Floral Park, for example, the now use of the north lot, which I'd like to point out, in the RFP, it specifically said the north lot would not be used. The outreach and partnership of the ESD ceased. Some other alarming developments that came out post our DES release was, although I can understand that there would never be a perfect time to release the FEIS, I find it discouraging that the ESD would announce after 5 p.m. on a holiday weekend the DSD board would be meeting the next business day for this meeting to accept the FEIS. This is especially concerning as this would only be the only time that the public that submitted a significant amount of comments and concerns could address the board directly. And I would like to point out during the presentation earlier, there was a mention of form letters. Those form letters were actually signed physically by people. And as a representative that's been duly elected by those folks, I find it important that it be noted that people took the time to sign those letters. It was not an online petition that some bot could magically put out a number. Those were physically signed letters, and that's on the record, and you have those. Next, in the spring of this year, we found out via a FOIL request that there was a master plan submitted by New York State, by NIRA to New York State in 2016, which was prior to the IRP being released, and that resembles exactly the approved plan that we see today. This has led myself and our residents to believe this project has been a fait accompli since before the process even started. In closing, I ask the ESD board members do the following prior to voting to accept the FEIS and allowing the project to move forward. Listen carefully to any of the comments presented today. They're very important from the people that live in our village. Read and thoroughly understand each and every concern that was raised during this process and ensure that the responses would be acceptable to you if you were the person who lived in the surrounding community and raised those questions. I, as a board member, every other Tuesday night sit and listen to our residents. When there is a project, we go through every detail of the project, construction drawings, and I ask you to do the same today. Read these documents and understand them. Regardless of the benefits of the developers, please put the concerns of the residents that live and work in the surrounding communities first. Lastly, do not approve the FEIS unless you are sure that the surrounding communities will not be negatively impacted, and with respect to Floral Park, our way of life will stay the same or if not improve. In closing, I'm happy to discuss and explain any question that was raised during this process so that you as a board have a complete understanding of the genesis of these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call Tanya Laws again.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I have some letters from some community members here. I'm not going to read
Just
all of them.
introduce yourself again, please.
Microphone, and introduce yourself again, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Tanya Laws. I work for the New York Islanders. I have a few letters here that I want to submit in support. I won't read all of them, but I do want to note that I have a letter of support from the Jamaica Square Improvement League. I have a letter of support from the Elmont East End Civic, the American Legion Post 1033 of Elmont. And now I will begin to read the letter of support from the Elmont Chamber of Commerce. They are a voluntary-based organization which focuses on enhancing the business climate and equality of life in Elmont for the benefit of its members and community at large. The Chamber has over 75 business members and a great stake in the development proposed for Belmont Park. As a result of this role, which our members take quite seriously, we feel appropriate to express that you are strong support for the redevelopment of Belmont Park to be included with the arena for the Islanders and other attractions that outline in the proposal. The Chamber has met with the Empire State Development Corporation, civic associations, elected officials, and state, county, and town governments, school personnel, fire, veterans, and police representatives, and field questions from many community members. We have consistently stood by our commitment to see this development through. And then it goes on. I also have another letter from the Elmont Cardinals Sports Club, written by John Johnson. I've been a resident of Elmont since 1995. The moment I heard about the details of Belmont redevelopment project, I was all in. The redevelopment isn't only needed in Belmont, it's needed in Elmont, which the property sits. Many residents, such as I, are looking for revitalization of Elmont. We want new Elmont Road parks for our children. We haven't had our kids, He's basically trying to say that the park is in shambles. He goes on to say that His taxes are in the amount of $3,000, and it's important that we support this project so that the residents and the community at large have the same equal opportunities that everyone else in other communities have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next would be Nicholas Zakia.
Okay, my name is Nick Zakia, Zacchea, and I am a resident of Floral Park, have been a resident of Floral Park since 1965. I think it's relatively clear, I think we could all agree that what is being said here, which is essentially in favor of the project, are very valid reasons. Good for labor, many jobs, revitalization of some neighborhoods, the improvement of some of the infrastructure leading up and to the stadium and the park and the development project, the site. Islanders will have a chance to have a team at home. So there's a lot of very good benefits that will come as a result of this project. And so I'm in favor of it. But what I'm not in favor of is the cost. And I think the cost of the project is something that has not been finally decided on. I think what Rachel said are assertions, and she firmly believes in what she said and what she wrote, are indications that all of the problems that we envisioned, all of the environmental issues that we studied have been solved. I don't know if they have or not. She asserted they have. Everybody indicates they have, but nobody really knows whether they have or not. And so what I'm saying to the council, to the board, before they decide on the acceptance of this environmental impact statement, before they decide on whether or not to agree that this statement says it all and in fact supports what Rachel has said, I think we should get an opportunity. I think we should have an opportunity. I think fairness dictates that we have an opportunity to take another strong, hard, long look at that environmental impact statement to make certain that what Rachel says is true, what Rachel asserts is accurate, that all of the environmental issues have been taken care of. And I think we would all agree that based on some of the environmental issues that have been raised here by our mayor, by our police department, by our fire department, by our deputy mayor, all indicate that no, all of the environmental issues have been taken care of. And so before you rush to judgment, and that rush to judgment leads to a rush to disaster, please take another look at that statement and let us have a look at it as well, so we can decide with you whether or not it answers all of our questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are Simone Swaby, Matson Kakura, Tiffany Capers, Erica Lemke, and Kelly Lillibridge.
Good afternoon. My name is Simone Swaby, mother of 3 in Elmont, and I've been living in Elmont for over 10 years. Elmont is a richly diverse community with a bounty of potential. The economic viability and sustainability of our community is, however, in a dire state. For many, many years, our plight of lack of economic investments have led to a town that is dying. We have families here that have no local source of entertainment, and our parks are a complete failure. We have been failed by those who are charged with undergirding the community with investments that would buttress our economic and social viability. I am in complete support of the Belmont Park project, as I deem it would be an awful missed opportunity for the economic prosperity of this community. What does a parent do when their child has nowhere to play? We have to find suitable and safe spaces for that important mechanism to occur. Parents and other residents in Elmont have 3 parks available to us: Elmont Road Park, Henderson Avenue Park, and Dutch Broadway Park. All of those parks are deemed by many to be unsafe for our children to play. This project, other than bringing much-needed vitality and economic opportunities, will also serve as a means of renovating Elmont Road Park and Henderson Park, since others were not able to do so. I cannot say no to a combination of investments that will likely fundamentally transform our community. As it stands, majority of Belmont residents do not enjoy the beauty and magnificence that is Belmont Park. With this project, I personally envision more locals accessing this site and becoming engaged customers who can benefit from the future offerings. The project will bring much needed jobs to the area, and yes, they won't all be six-figure salaries, far from it, I presume, but our young adults and senior citizens need this project to bring jobs that are closer to home. I hear many residents of other communities saying Belmont will radically change the character of their community, but what they are missing or do not appreciate is that for Elmont, this change is a welcome one. I don't expect my neighbors to sacrifice what they think to be best for their community by commiserating with Elmont's challenges, but I believe it should be part of the conversation and should never be discounted. What is needed is balance, and I think we are positioned to achieve it if this project is structured strategically. To reiterate, Elmont is plagued with little to no resources for our families, and we need this project to be that beacon of hope that cements Elmont's place in the lexicon of thriving communities all across this great nation. Be bold and build. I do have another statement from a young man. He's a millennial, a 21-year-old in Elmont. He reads, his name is Joshua Johnson. He reads, "My name is Joshua Johnson. I have been living in the Parkhurst section of Elmont for all my 21 years of life. My family's been in Elmont for 34 years. We are very excited for what this project has to offer. There has been so much noise from a loud minority who overblow the generalized concerns due to misinformation given to them by those in and surrounding their community through social media. But I know so many people, especially millennials, who want this project to give the neighborhood vibrance, distinction, and places to go instead of always heading out to the city for leisure, food options, or common neighborhoods on the island. We're tired of the low quality of stores, food options, and lack of social spaces. It is sad that some are using this as a way to fill their own agendas by getting media exposure and attention, even if what they say isn't verified or completely accurate based on the redevelopment project. They keep spreading falsehood reports calling the retail village a mega mall when it is nowhere in comparison to the size and configuration of Green Acres Mall, Roosevelt Field, or the type of stores and restaurants at both of those locations. I know I will be configured in a way to provide access. I know the project will be configured in a way to provide access to the neighborhood, since it would be a 24-hour station that is being considered for the project. Elmont has one more paragraph. Elmont has always been a prime location for a transformative project due to quick access to the city and its major airports. So please listen to the younger voices who actually live in Elmont. The project's primary objective is giving economic activity to Elmont. Long Island needs change and development, or else the population would continue to decrease and remain older. And no other idea would better complement Belmont Elmont other than this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Madsen Kokura. I'm a lifelong Elmont resident, and I also represent the Belmont CAC that was formed a little over a year ago. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. On my behalf, as well as one of my fellow CAC members, unfortunately, had a family emergency, so he gave me a little short thing to read. So to start with, I was very happy being a lifelong Elmont resident when this project came that the Islanders were going to move to Belmont because it's been underutilized for some time. The concerns that myself as well as a lot of our CAC members brought up, and we always brought the point of making it transparent to show us in writing. A lot of things have already been repeated, but the LIRR station is a big full-time LIRR station would be a big positive. Myself having to commute to Midtown for some time for a previous employment, I would have to go to Laurelton train station in Queens. They have a free parking lot there, albeit small. So a full-time train station at LIRR would be great, as well as a commuter lot. Home values I definitely think will go up with the redevelopment project because, like I said, we've had a lot of underutilized property for some time. So being a lifelong Elmont resident, that would be definitely a boon to the economy. In addition to that, the jobs that are going to be provided, both temporary as well as permanent jobs. And again, we'd like to see that in writing, that there is going to be a percentage offered to first the young folks that are eligible for jobs as well as job training. These are all things that have been talked about during the CAC meetings, but we'd like to see that in writing. Another couple of big things that were on the agenda that we discussed, we still haven't seen any final proposals for the local park improvements because there was originally discussions about having some space on the property for local parks for youth in the community. We just want to see that more in writing as well. Of course, taxes are a big concern. So the pilots have a big discussion. We haven't finalized anything about that. And also there was a big discussion about solar and natural gas as far as fueling the stadium, the arena, and the other local things. So those things need to be addressed. That's all I have to say on my behalf, and it's just a couple of sentences. On behalf of Reverend Danilo Archibald, also a fellow CAC member, to the ESD board, my name is Reverend Danilo Archibald. I'm very enthusiastic about the Belmont redevelopment project, and my entire family, as well as a host of friends, business owners, and neighbors, are in support of this awesome project. The economic impact, as well as the job creations, is a wonderful thing that will help the overall economic structure for Nassau County. I urge you as a board to move forward in improving this project. Reverend Danilo Archibald.
Thank you.
Erica Lim.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Capers, and I'm an Elmont resident for over 20 years. It is with great enthusiasm that I give my support to the Belmont Park redevelopment project. The project addresses some of the much-needed deficits in our Elmont community: permanent jobs, opportunities for minority businesses, women, and veteran-owned businesses, economic revitalization, and the Elmont Park and Henderson Avenue Park redesigns are nothing for us to shrug our shoulders at for 49 years. Right now, with no change, the Belmont land would remain a deteriorated parking lot serving no benefit or use to the community, whereas redevelopment and the revitalization will clean up and restore Elmont to the powerhouse community our residents deserve. As with any projects, there have been some challenges and concerns, and at every turn, the ESD Development Group has, along with the Community Advisory Board, has listened and addressed those community needs and concerns in revising plans, holding workshops, and hosting information sessions. So I strongly support moving forward with this redevelopment project and making Belmont Park a premier destination for entertainment, shopping, and providing a source of quality jobs. Thank you for your commitment to this project and to the people in our Elmont community. I'd also like to share a letter that was submitted by Sandra Smith. She's the chair of the Elmont Coalition for Sustainable Development. She's a 21-year resident of Elmont, and she said as far back as 2005, she and others in the community identified a need for economic development in Elmont. She said she was ecstatic when she heard that Governor Cuomo chose the New York Arena Partners proposal for development at Belmont. She says it addresses some of their desires and their vision plan. Everything that the ESD wanted, they had. They wanted retail space. New York Arena Partners plan had retail space. They wanted a hotel. New York Arena Partners had a hotel. Finally, she says, their voices have been heard. She asked that you please, on behalf of the Elmont Community for Sustainable Development, she says, please move forward and let the building begin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Lillibridge.
Hi, my name is Kelly Lillibridge. I am a lifelong Long Islander and also an Islander fan. I'm speaking today as a mother of a family who knows firsthand all of the good that comes from having the Islanders here on the island. The Islanders do a tremendous amount for the community. They have not only do they have Hockey Fights Cancer, but a lot of the Islanders have their own foundations. Matt Martin, Anders Lee, Anthony Bolivier, they all have their own foundations that they do things to help the community. I'm also speaking as a mother of a son who has been fighting cancer for 7 years, and the Islanders could not have been better and have been a constant in my son's life. Not only have the Islanders been a constant in my son's, but they go to the Collins Children's Center, they go to the Winthrop Hospital, they go to hospitals every year. It's not just a one-time thing, it's a constant every single year. And we need the Islanders to be on Long Island. Every stadium has traffic. If you've been to the Mets, you've been to the Yankees, you've been to MetLife, they all have traffic. Once we get this thing going and get the shovel in the ground, the sooner we do it, the sooner it can be completed. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next names are Bernadette Smith, Heather McClintock, Aubrey Phillips, Mitch Pitnick, and Victor Babb.
Hi, my name is Bernadette Smith. I'm a lifelong resident of Floral Park, and I'm a member of the Belmont Task Force. I've watched the process and tried to collaborate with groups involved in development of the Belmont property for several years. I appreciate your time and your attempt to mitigate the issues brought up. This iteration began smoothly enough, an arena to complement the racetrack and local businesses, which could be a boon for all the neighboring communities. But as the plans came out and the draft was released, it became apparent that the goal of this project was to benefit the developers. So I question what the goal is of this project further, and who stands to benefit most. One of the goals of the Empire State Development is to invest strategically in infrastructure and innovation. As the draft study showed, there were inadequate water resources, energy resources, and traffic access. I appreciate the idea of a full-time railroad station to support the residents of Elmont. The location and the potential cost to the taxpayers gives me pause. As such, I urge you to review in depth the actual plans to be sure that this will actually address the problem and not simply be a check mark to push through a project without adequate study. This doesn't feel like an investment in infrastructure, it feels like an overload of what's in existence. Another goal of the ESD is to be transparent and responsive to the needs of diverse communities across the state through the active participation of regional councils. Calling this meeting at 5:15 on a Friday night of a holiday weekend is neither transparent nor responsive. It's disrespectful. Yet another ESD goal is to support the retention and health of existing businesses, the retention of populations, and the development of new businesses and industries that will contribute to the development, of the economy. I love the idea of jobs for local residents and improvement in local economy. At the current scale of this project, patrons will not be stopping in local bakeries or restaurants. They will be doing those on the Belmont campus. The campus is designed to bring in patrons and keep them there. The traffic will deter visitors from supporting the local businesses before or after any event. Hempstead Turnpike, Tulip Avenue, Jericho Turnpike all host local businesses that could thrive with a reasonably sized project, but not with one of this magnitude and these goals. There are so many facets of this project, as you know. It occurred to me as you spoke earlier about the alternative project that drops the mall, and you said it doesn't significantly lessen the traffic. But that plan will, in fact, help support local business growth. And we know that a healthy business district supports a healthy community. As part of the task force and my fellow neighbors, we pleaded with the ESD and developers to reduce the scale of this project for real, thoughtful fixes to the real and thoughtful concerns that were outlined earlier in this presentation. I welcome the Islanders employees, who are, in fact, my newest neighbors in the office building where I work, so welcome aboard. And I actually wonder how you feel about the traffic getting there. It's a little tough. I get to walk. This is not no Islanders. This is a request from me as a Belmont Task Force member, but more importantly, as a New York State taxpayer, a resident, a mom, a lifelong Long Islander who understands truly the impact and growth of the traffic congestion over the course of more than 40 years. As this process moves forward, I'm resigned to the idea that this project is steamrolling ahead. I'm not being unreasonable, and I only want what's best for my neighborhood and the surrounding communities. I do not see this project, as it stands, being able to provide what's best for those living there. I beg of you to prove me wrong. to work hard via the oversight you're entrusted with, and to honor the ESD's goals and lessen the negative impacts on all the neighboring communities. Instead, ensure this upcoming behemoth development upholds the quality of life for my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather McClintock.
Good evening. My name is Heather McClintock. I am a 17-year resident of Floral Park, and I am here to implore you to fully consider what you are about to vote on and beseech you to reconsider the scope of this project before it becomes a wrecking ball into the residential community full of hardworking families. Among the many concerns of this project that Floral Park has consistently raised without often being offered workable solutions, I am here to discuss the use of the two parking lots, one of which sits directly opposite our grammar school. Please tell us what protective barriers are being proposed to protect our children. I think we can all agree an 8-foot tree isn't much. Would you be comfortable if your child had to study and play next to a parking lot filled with daily transients? Please tell us what is being done to prevent tailgating and who will enforce this. In addition to the school, many homes surround the parking lots. Please tell us what is being done to preserve the quality of life that we work very hard to preserve. What about noise pollution from these lots? Air pollution, light pollution, rodent problems, waste pollution. Who will clean these lots, and what resource and recourse will we have if they don't? Why aren't these critical issues being fully explored and addressed by New York State before rushing to give away our state land for the benefit of a private developer? Members of the ESD, do you know the answers to any of these important questions? If not, then for the sake of the future of Western Nassau County, please take the time to make sure all of these critical issues are addressed for the benefit of all. Finally, scale back the scope of this project to a more manageable size so that it can actually be sustained by the already congested network of neighborhood roads and to ensure the future success of the very project itself. Let's do it once and let's do it right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aubrey Phillips. Miss Aubrey.
Ladies and gentlemen, other pleasantries noted in the interest of time. On behalf of the Belmont Park Community Coalition, I voice our objection to the lack of transparency that is the hallmark of this bad idea in Elmont.
I'm sorry, could you introduce yourself, please?
Aubrey Phillips.
Thank you.
Okay. Further, we voice our disappointment with the less than wholesome process that brings us to this building today. On water usage. The summer months are here, and Elmont residents are reminded, familiar with, and even ticketed for watering their vegetables and flower gardens and lawns on unapproved days. The practice is widely accepted as recognition that the water is a precious and limited resource in Elmont. Although the draft EIS suggests that there will be a redirection of sewage from the site, it is less certain that ESD and arena partners have identified sources of additional potable water sufficient to support both the health and welfare of our community, I might add, our very diverse, primarily minority community, and the proposed arena. On the payment in lieu of taxes, pilots. Elmont, Floral Park Belrose, Franklin Square, and New Hyde Park elementary school districts feed into the Sewanaka Central High School District. This arrangement is one of only 3 public school systems organized in this way in New York State. As such, residents of the aforementioned communities are simultaneously taxed by 2 school districts. We are concerned that this pilot will diminish funding for our schools, a concern that is shared by the New York State School Boards Association and supported by the experiences of other New York State school districts, such as New Paltz and Ballston Spa. Our concern is compounded by the unique tax structure of the Central School District and the contemporaneous experience or near contemporaneous experience of our neighboring school district, Valley Stream District 30. The lack of clarity surrounding the Green Acres pilot and a district miscalculation led to a significant tax increase in the 2016-2017 school year. A subsequent finding by the Office of the State Controller notes that the Town of Hampstead IDA had not developed policies and procedures assessing the indirect impact of pilots, a problem that has yet to be properly addressed on the Long Island Railroad transportation. The Ballyhood LIRR train station solution is wholly inadequate. It does not address the day-to-day needs of local residents. The cancellation of the governor's close to the press conference puts the cart before the horse and discloses the corrupt process here.
Mr. Phillips, in respect for the other folks that you have to speak.
I do agree, and I have just one more line.
Thank you.
One line, right. This hastily convened meeting fails to meet the intent and the spirit of open meetings law. The meeting will not paper over the potentially paint over the mold cultivated in darkness and the lack of transparency that is the hallmark of this very bad idea for Elmont and the surrounding communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mitch Pitnick.
Good afternoon. My name is Mitch Pitnick. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Town of Hempstead Supervisor Laura Gillen. I have a letter from Supervisor Gillen that I'll read. A copy will be provided tomorrow, a signed copy. It's to the board, and I want to first and foremost thank the governor and the entirety of the ESD board for hearing me and the voices of so many of my constituents. As I have stated numerous times, in order for this project to have long-term success, a full-service Long Island Railroad stop in Elmont must be included. I am glad our unified voice was heard with today's announcement. I am happy for our residents and Islanders fans. A mass transit option will help alleviate traffic and improve the quality of life for residents living around the property and in the surrounding area. The location of the station is paramount, as access for our communities is essential to providing a rail option closer to home for so many Hempstead residents. I urge you to work with the community on these issues, as this station needs to be as much for them as it is for visitors to the property. We eagerly await the start of the Elmont Road Park redevelopment, and we are thankful to NIAP and the state for making this park renovation a possibility. This investment is so important to the Elmont community, and having a quality space for our children and youth sports leagues to play is invaluable. We are also very excited about the Islanders' work with our local schools to provide recreation programs and STEM software. These investments show NIAP's commitment to being a partner in our community. While I am excited about this new development in the project announced today, I would still ask for assurances that Long Islanders will be the ones filling the jobs generated by these millions of dollars in construction. A project labor agreement will assure this happens. We have some of the most skilled workers in this country right here on Long Island. They take pride in their work and their community, and they should be doing the work on this project. I am optimistic that by working together with the town and its residents, Belmont will provide exceptional opportunities for residents and visitors alike. Respectfully, Laura A. Gillen, Town of Hempstead Supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Victor Babb.
Yes, my name is Victor Babb, and I'm the representative for Allstate Insurance Company in Elmont, and I've been there for 32 years. I'm 1 block from the park. I received this call on Wednesday to attend this meeting. I had just arrived in Florida the night before to visit my very sick sister, and I was asked to attend this meeting today. In fact, I was due back today, but I came back last night because that is how much I support this project. I did submit a letter to the board already, but I just wanted to read one sentence from that letter. It reads thusly: furthermore, it is a cause which is worth the support of Victor Babb Agency, and I'm willing to say that the All-State Corporation, of which I represent as a whole, will not oppose but support this project in every way. I also have a letter here from the mayor of the village of South Floral Park, Mayor Jeffrey N. Prime, Prame, and it's addressed to the Empire State Development Corporation, to whom it may concern. As mayor of South Floral Park, I write this letter in support of the proposed development at Belmont Racetrack, which fully recognizing and respecting the opposition voices. The concerns about public safety, increased traffic, noise, as well as the potential strain on our infrastructure are all legitimate. However, I believe that no development will come at no cost, and it is not realistic to think otherwise. We also have to consider the cost of not developing the area. If not this development plan, then what development plan won't raise the valid concerns that have been expressed? I can't think of one, and that would leave us with the unfortunate conclusion of allowing no development at Belmont. I don't think that it is a realistic option that we should embrace. I submit that the property at Belmont has been underutilized for decades, and that there is indeed a cost to keeping things as status quo. I always think back to the Belmont Stakes on the day of a potential Triple Crown race. We hear the statistics about 100,000 plus people there, and it always struck me as a shame that the economic impact of having that many people in the area was negligible. Turnpike corridor, negligible. It was negligible at best, sorry. Hopefully, the proposed development will attract other investors to the Hempstead Turnpike corridor, and we can have a true gateway to Nassau County. There's no doubt that the legitimate questions have asked to be adequately answered, and that we have to have plans in place that the community can embrace. Thus far, the developers have committed to being true community partners, and their actions have followed their words. Is it possible that they are pulling the wool over our eyes? Possibly, but would we feel more confident in any future development? One last sentence. I have nothing but respect for those opposed to the project, but I do feel that the positive impact of this proposed will outweigh the negative effect on the community in particular, and certainly Nassau County as a whole. Accordingly, I lend my support to the project. Mayor Jeffrey N. Prime. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are Russell Mesnick, Jessica Alfonsi, Delcia Marshall, Michael Murphy, Diane Thompson.
Good afternoon. My name is Russell Mesnick. I'm a resident of Floral Park on the west end.
Please speak into the microphone.
Testing, 1, 2.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Russell Mesnick. I am a resident of Floral Park on the west end, very close to the north parking lot. For those of you who don't know, Floral Park is a diamond in the rough. It's a quiet, safe, friendly, tight-knit community, and the planned development at Belmont Park puts our harmony at tremendous risk. I, for one, do not see us in a position for benefit from this project. Touching on a few of the points that have already been made, I mentioned the north lot. It's planned to host up to 4,000 parking spaces. The resulting pollution will be immensely disruptive and intolerable to our community. Many hockey games end around 10 p.m., a lot of concerts end later than that. Currently at these times, we hear birds and crickets in our neighborhood. The exhaust and noise from cars, the lights illuminating the lot, the litter that accompanies these crowds will be intolerable to nearby residents. In addition, at the public hearings last January, one speaker mentioned that it is tradition of Islander fans to sit in their cars and honk the horns following a victory. Someone earlier mentioned that it was a nightmare for her daughters to come home at 11 o'clock at night following a hockey game. How about putting your daughter to bed at 11 o'clock with 4,000 cars honking their horns? I don't know why you're smiling, sir. Don't appreciate that.
I was not smiling at anything that you had said.
Not important. My clock is ticking, so I need to speak. Retail development. Retail is dying. Someone earlier mentioned the Fortunoff Shopping Center. If you look just a few miles from Belmont, where the Cross Island meets the Long Island Expressway, there's a massive shopping center with mostly vacant space where there was a Modell's, a Macy's, a Toys R Us, and a large movie theater. According to Newsday, second quarter 2018 saw the highest level of vacant retail in 18 years. CNBC reported retail sales have dropped the most since September 2009. A mega mall, outlet mall, call it whatever you want, is a yesterday idea. It's not creative at all. And someone earlier mentioned business survives with the right clientele. The clientele hasn't gone anywhere. Business is dying anyway. Retail is dying. Regarding traffic, the Cross Island Parkway, as already mentioned in the draft environmental impact statement, is already at capacity. Partnering with GPS services and driving apps and encouraging carpooling, laughable. The Long Island Railroad Station, the proposed station, is a half mile from the arena. Are people really expected to stand in snow and rain and wait for a shuttle? They're going to choose their cars, and they're going to park on our streets. Further, the Nassau Coliseum is only 8 miles away from Belmont. It's been there for 40 years. It recently underwent a $150 million renovation. It can surely be restored to meet the NHL standards. The Islanders belong in Nassau Coliseum, not in Western Nassau, where most of the fans are coming from the east. While you review this final statement, ask yourself, is this project wise? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, try to remind the speakers to keep to their time. The hour draws late, and we want to hear as many speakers as possible.
Thank you.
Jessica Alfonsi.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if I was next. Hi, I'm Jessica Alfonsi. I represent the West End Civic Association in Floral Park. Our neighborhood directly abuts the parking lot, both parking lots actually, that are now going to be used for the arena. So I just briefly wanted to recap the process as it's gone so far, as the board prepares to vote. In 2017, NIAP's design was chosen, and Mr. Zemke read a statement from them saying, "We're committed to working with the community and want a development the community will be proud of and benefit from." Ms. Light of ESD said the team is on board knowing this has to be a give and take, and that you would look at what the community needs, the benefits we want to see, and that ESD would hold their feet to the fire to make sure that happens. Mr. Zemke closed with, "We're eager to engage with the community and bring a collaborative, successful project to completion that benefits them." And at this point in time, the project design was workable for us. We were excited. We thought the Islanders would be cool, and the comments from ESD were encouraging. So we were hopeful. So fast forward a year, the DEIS is released, and the project size increased about 400% now that the NYRA parking lots would be used. The same lots that ESD and NIAP assured us would not be used. An outlet mall was revealed with luxury stores not serving local residents. So, right, where's the give and take? Adverse traffic impacts were cited. I represent a group. So is that 2 extra minutes I get?
Yep.
Thank you. Ms. Light said they're trying to protect the residential streets with a traffic management plan to keep cars on expressways. Let me be clear. They are all residential streets over there. The Cross Island is a parkway. The secondary roads in every direction from there all are one-lane residential streets that trucks will be forced to use since the parkway does not allow commercial vehicles. So deliveries to the mall, concessions, arena, hotel, office buildings, and all will be using residential streets. Never mind they'll be driving on the most dangerous road in New York State, as Hempstead Turnpike is repeatedly ranked. In February, Ms. Schatz, you said you'd been in contact with the city, state DOT, and that obviously, I'm quoting, obviously, their review and comment of the project is very important. So New York City is conducting their own traffic study. Shouldn't we wait for those results? You also said there'd be about 30 days in between the FEIS release and the vote. We got 3 days' notice after 5 p.m. on the Friday of a 4th of July weekend, causing many of us here to cut our vacation time short, get coverage at work, while others, the previous speaker said, supporters were asked on Wednesday to attend. We had reasonable requests which were completely ignored. Number one, collaboration. Listen to all these people up here. They're all saying the same thing, the people with concerns. We wanted a study of arena impacts on communities. A master plan for Belmont Park, which all along existed. Through our FOIA requests, we found out. A scaled-down project, nobody's willing to do that. An appropriate buffer for our local homes and schools. I mean, a chain link fence and vegetation between our house and our elementary school and an arena parking lot where there's going to be, you know, people having fun. I want these people to go there and have fun. Funding for additional police activity, road repairs, we get nothing. Members of the board, all we ask today is for some time to review the supposed solutions to our many concerns before a vote is rendered, especially since we've been totally shut out and gotten nothing we've asked for. We still hope New York Arena Partners' 2000 statement will ring true and we will all benefit and be proud of this project. Islander fans and shoppers matter, but they should not matter more than local residents who live there. And I just have one question because some stuff came out today that, you know, was sort of late. Governor Cuomo released a press release from earlier that included analysis of the Long Island Railroad Station from BJS advisors, saying that the Long Island Railroad would be funded only $30 million by NIAP and $74 million by the taxpayers of New York State. But yet Newsday today said the project developers have agreed to pay $97 million. So I'm just wondering, which is correct? Are they paying $97 million of the train station, or are they paying $30 million of the train station?
Thank you. Are you done?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we get an answer?
This is not a question and answer, it's a public
Okay.
comment.
Thank you.
I think there are Destiny 5 remaining speakers. While we're approaching the 5:30 time that I think we originally planned for, I think we should continue on to allow the 5 remaining speakers to complete.
So, there are actually 7.
Are folks okay with continuing on for the 7 remaining? Yeah. Yeah.
The next speaker is Delcia Marshall.
My name is Delcia Marshall. I'm a longtime resident of Cambria Heights. I'm speaking today on behalf of both the Cambria Heights Civic Association and also the Belmont Park Community Coalition. First, with regard to Cambria Heights, just to put it in context, Cambria Heights has been largely overlooked in terms of the potential negative impact on our community. We are a community that is adjacent to Elmont. So if I walk out of my house, I would say a half a mile, I'm in Elmont, just to put it in context. The Cross Island Parkway is on the border of Cambria Heights. So although most of the discussion is about certain other communities, we also feel that we will be directly affected in terms of the traffic and potential security and safety concerns, which I haven't heard any particular facets of the FEIS that address our concerns. Now, with respect to the Belmont Park, I'll be brief because I know time is precious. There are several additional concerns in addition to the traffic study that both communities want, and we really want this board not to rush to judgment, to wait and consider the New York City DOT traffic study when it is available, any state traffic studies when they become available, and to develop a comprehensive security plan, because the security concerns that have been expressed regarding the surrounding communities will also affect us. Now, with regard to Elmont, first of all, we wanted to make mention that, like the other people in the room who are opposed to the project or at least have some significant concerns, we got notice of this very late. I'm an attorney. I had to basically get a coworker, a partner at my firm to cover me today so that I could come here. But because I do love my community and I love the surrounding areas to Cambria Heights, I thought it would be important to do that. With regard to Elmont, there was a 2008 Elmont Community Vision Plan, which some of those aspects the residents want incorporated into the FEIS, which are residents want to extend the areas in the retail portion of the project that would be used by locals. Residents want to promote the Belmont Park area and have more community involvement. The residents of Elmont also wanted to include the 1998 Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, which showed a map for the year 2020 that included open spaces for the community, which the sentiment is that open spaces that are functional for the community have been somewhat overlooked. We just want to thank you for hearing us, thank you for holding this meeting, and we just ask you to wait and consider all of the concerns so that an appropriate plan could be produced. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Murphy.
Thank you, Michael Murphy, with the law firm of Beveridge and Diamond, and we represent the Village of Floral Park in relation to this project.
Would
Our
you,
firm.
speak into the microphone?
Is this good?
Anything would be an improvement. Thanks.
Thank you. We submitted comments on behalf of the village at the scoping stage and also at the draft environmental impact statement stage. And I just wanted to thank the board for having this meeting, albeit on very short notice, and address 3 items in relation to the proposed adoption of the final environmental impact statement. Of course, as lead agency, the ESD has obligations in relation to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, but it also has obligations under the Urban Development Corporation Act. And I'd just like to read a provision in that act that applies to this particular project. Under Section 6266, ESD is obligated to, quote, work closely, consult and cooperate with local elected officials and community leaders at the earliest practicable time. The ESD shall give primary consideration to local needs and desires and shall foster local initiative and participation in connection with the planning and development of its projects. In the comments that were submitted on the draft environmental impact statement, there was one virtually uniform concern that was expressed. The project is too big. And I noted Ms. Schatz a little earlier referred to some project changes, suggesting that maybe this project has been downsized. Well, I looked at the relevant page in the FEIS and the corridor, and that's just simply not the case. I'll walk through the elements of the project. When the announcement was first made at the scoping stage for the New York Arena project proposal, the arena had 660,000 square feet in terms of size. It is now proposed in the FEIS to be 745,000 square feet, an increase of 85,000 square feet from when this was first announced. The hotel, was first announced as 193,000 square feet. It is now, as stated in the FEIS, 210,000 square feet. The retail, entertainment, and dining facilities has apparently decreased in size, but the overall magnitude of the project has not changed since the scoping document. It's still larger than when the scoping document was released. The ESD has not listened to the community's concerns regarding the size of this project. For the ESD to accept and approve this project, it necessarily will be rejecting all consideration of local needs and desires. That's in direct conflict with your mandate under the statute. I urge you to reconsider this. Turning to SECRA itself, one of the greatest concerns, of course, in relation to the environmental impact review related to traffic and transportation impacts. I'm not going to reiterate all the comments that we submitted on behalf of the village, but it was very clear that the analysis in the draft environmental impact statement was grossly deficient. Two items of concern, just to highlight two. The analysis picked the wrong peak period. It used a time period that did not sync when Islander games start. Had they picked the correct peak period, the impacts would have been worse. Secondly, when you actually looked at the numbers, there were literally thousands of vehicle trips that just disappeared. No one knows where those ended up. The reason is the Cross Island Parkway is already at capacity during peak periods, and we don't find out from the analysis where the vehicles associated with this project will go. We raised this concern. We described the concern of the analysis failure to consider traffic applications, which divert traffic onto local roads, and none of that was addressed in the environmental impact statement. It is troubling that the traffic management plan, which was not prepared at the draft environmental impact state, apparently is going to utilize traffic applications. Those applications will divert traffic from the Cross Island Parkway onto local roads. That's what they do. In light of these changes, in light of the fact that there is now apparently a traffic management plan that can actually be reviewed, in light of the fact that there is going to be a full-time train station brought in as part of this project, I would urge you to reissue this analysis as a draft document so that the public can actually comment and review it. It is not simply sufficient to say you have 15 days to review a final environmental impact statement.
Mr. Murphy, can you finish up your comments, please?
I would ask that I be given a little more time since I'm representing the village of Floral Park.
You've gotten the 4 minutes for the groups.
I can take your written comments and put them into the record.
I would also refer to the fact that we submitted, these aren't in a written form. I would also, just to finish up, I would also refer to the fact that we submitted supplemental comments on March 19th. That related to a FOIL response that referred back to a 2016 master plan that was being developed in secret. Floral Park for years has begged governmental officials with authority to develop a master plan for Belmont Park, but the whole purpose of that was to do it in daylight, not in secret.
It's just so others have the opportunity to speak before we finish our...
Yes, I'll finish and we'll submit written comments.
Thank you.
Diane Thompson, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Diane Thompson. I am a 40-year resident of Elmont, and I am very concerned about this project. I want smart, innovative development of that property. We need it. I have seen the deterioration of the Belmont organization and the racetrack. We would like to see it developed, but no component of this submission of this project addresses any of our concerns. I am concerned that The community was only notified Friday evening about a very important meeting today. That's a lack of disrespect. Not having heard from ESD, some of our community leaders drafted an email June 25th summarizing all of the concerns we have been raising for the last 1.5 to 2 years. The information, the final submission discussed today, does not address those concerns. We are being ignored. You're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. For example, the hotel. There are several hotels that exist already in a 3 to 5 mile radius. 3 at JFK, one major one at Garden City, another one in Lynbrook. Who's going to a hotel in Elmont? Secondly, the high-end mall. Who's going to go to this high-end mall? Number one, brick and mortar stores are being outdated, are being closed. This is not creativity. This is simply the governor and ESD advancing their own agenda. The community should be considered. The Belmont racetrack, I've seen it deteriorate for the last 20 years. When are you going to update that valuable piece of real estate? Focus on that. Finally, many smart, innovative development ideas, examples are across the country. Why are you just giving us an old, tired retail mall and a hotel? There is nothing innovative about that. Nassau Coliseum is the place for the islanders, not a residential community. I ask you to reconsider this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we actually have 6 speakers left.
I can't.
No, I'm sorry, there are 5. Joyce
Well,
Doe, Gary Harding, Ed.
Hold on. I'm sorry. We may lose a quorum here. I thought a few moments ago we only had 5, and so we just have to check the time here. How many more speakers?
We have 6.
How many more?
6 more speakers.
you can limit them to 2 minutes
On
instead.
here. Are you okay?
No.
Hilda, are you okay? Are you okay? Eric, you good?
I'm fine.
All right.
Okay, we'll continue. We'll have a quorum.
Good afternoon. My name is Joyce Stowe, President of Tudor Manor Civic in Elmont, New York. I'm here today to discuss with you the authorization to accept and approve the final EDS environmental impact statement. No notice of this meeting came to me. I heard it from a second party. And although I'm a member of the advisory committee, I was taken aback by that. I do question your transparency. Tudor Manor Civic welcome economic development in Elmont, but not at the expense of its 70% minority group that live here in Elmont. At the 3 hearing dates, January 8, 9, and 10, that the EDS rolled out the draft document for comments to the community that surrounds the Belmont property, the consensus was that the project was too large for the land space and the 35,000 people that live here in Elmont, as well as surrounding districts, noting that Elmont is a sliver of land based on the number of cemeteries that takes the bulk of Elmont land space. The rollout of the draft EDS Belmont project document as it stands today misses the salient points, namely transportation, lowering of property taxes, a mixture of high-end jobs. The majority of our people here in Elmont are college educated and seemingly middle class too. Transportation, opening of the railroad station at Belmont, that was our economic development vision plan in 2009 and was one of the salient points to ease traffic on the Hempstead Turnpike, etc. Now I'm told that this train station is now slated for Belrose, which is, I understand today, is different. Okay, now I'm told that this train station is now slated for Belmont and neighboring community, not Elmont. That is a no-no. Reminds me of a $2 million check that was given to Elmont to take the awful, awful blight on Hempstead Turnpike from the county line to School Road and was withdrawn by the Empire State Development Corporation. I was at that meeting with the $2 million check that was given to us. Is that what you want to do with the train station? Please do not try that again. From the jump start, the underlying mission of economic development in Elmont is based on the lowering of property taxes with income derived from economic investments. This impact statement does not have the percentage of income that would be derived and used to lower the property taxes here in Elmont. Water contamination. Does the EDS impact statement mention the impact that the contaminated water problem in Nassau County will have on the Elmont community wells? With the proposed footprint of this project, see the news conference at Nassau County Legislature with the congressmen and women in early July 2019. As the EDS seen a recent letter addressed to the governor encapsulating a number of our ongoing concerns, this board cannot at this time okay this draft as it stands today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna say who the last speakers are. Gary Harding, Ed Baggett, William Kelleher, Brenda McDonald, and Travis Williams.
I also signed the paper, will first be signing it. Why am I not on that list? You have my name there.
Yeah.
I'll come to you right now.
So we'll begin with Gary Harding.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Harding. I'm an Executive Vice President of New York Islanders Booster Club, and I'd like to thank the ESD for allowing us to speak. As a resident of Suffolk County, as a former long resident of Nassau County, I understand all the plights of everything going on, and I hope that the voices of the Floral Park and Elmont people get recognized as a result of all this. But I'm going to speak as a 30-year season ticket holder to New York Islanders and just give a little bit of a different example as to what this project means to sports fans around the country. We are part of a group that represents all the various NHL booster clubs from around the league. And every year in August, we get together and go to a convention. And at these conventions, a lot of the conversation deals with teams getting new arenas and what the experiences are. And from what we've seen in the other places, and most of these other NHL teams obviously are in big cities. So it is something that has developed and built a trust for the city and for the surrounding areas. Yes, this opportunity, this development is something that's a little different than all these other places because Long Island is not a city. We are a region. We are a small little portion of a community. And I know that that impacts a lot of things that that we are meeting on this meeting today. But I can tell you from the conversations that I've had with these people that the positivity that is pushed in their community as a result will end up trickling down. And I hope that the process that is being done here will do the same. Lastly, because I know there's a bunch of other people who want to speak, and I'd rather give them the time. The one thing I want to bring forth, if you see obviously the people that are wearing these Islander jerseys, the New York Islanders are the only sports franchise, major sports franchise, that has the home on their crest. And that home is a lot of pride, especially for people like myself and the people that are here that have been fans of this organization for 40 plus years. That not only are the players that are going on the ice and the people that support them, that is our home. And we are proud to say that we're all Islanders. And I just hope that the concerns of everybody that's been here and the concerns of us get together and somehow pave the way for this great project to move forward. I just hope that you people at the ESD do whatever you guys can do to make this thing a reality. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Gary Harding?
That was me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ed Baguette. Apologize.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Ed Baggett, resident of Floral Park. The draft EIS clearly indicated that there was a substantial impact in the surrounding communities regarding transportation. And one of the core problems is the poor condition of the Cross Island Parkway today. That road, built in 1930, with no substantial improvements over the last 90 years, receives the poorest rating from New York City and New York State DOE, an F as far as traffic flow. And I see no inclusion here of substantial capacity increase, extra lanes, reconstruction of the Cross Island Parkway. That's imperative for this project to go through. Secondly, the proposed to build a Long Island Railroad station in Belrose Terrace and then require Islanders fans to get on a shuttle bus for the additional half mile to the arena, to me, I find that very poorly thought out, rushed, and it's and having people to board a shuttle bus after getting off a train ride, I think to me that will just decrease the likelihood of people using mass transit. I urge you to delay approval of this, go back to the drawing board, develop a true transportation plan that will provide a robust transportation station, railroad station directly adjacent to the arena. I think the people in Elmont would like that too. Add additional capacity to the Cross Island Parkway. If these two things are not accomplished, to me, the impact will not be mitigated. That needs to be.
Thank you.
William Kelleher?
Good evening. My name is William Kelleher, and I'm a resident of Floral Park, and I live within 150 feet of the proposed north lot parking lot, which is not part of or was part of the RFP. When the ESD hosted 3 public hearings on the DEIS, community leaders, residents, along with local politicians, voiced the concerns over the DEIS flaws. And even the members of the ESD acknowledged flaws in the DEIS on traffic mitigation when submitting the DEIS. Their answer back then was the traffic mitigation was to ask thousands of people to change their driving behavior. We are all here today because of the FEIS. My fear is that the FEIS will take into account the same flaws that were delivered in the draft proposal, and that once again we are being asked to change our driving and our overall behavior and rush to a decision. Without a solid traffic mitigation plan in place, the safety of all residents, everyday drivers, employees of Belmont, and visitors of Belmont, and more importantly, the children of the residents, are at risk. Are you okay with this risk? And I ask again, are you okay with this risk? Without a solid traffic mitigation and transportation plan, the FEIS does not address potential impact of excessive noise pollution that will impact the surrounding communities. Again, I live in the proposed north lot, and the fear of excess noise when traffic of this project and visitors can't leave safely in a timely manner. 8-foot hedges and a screened-in fence is not and will not mitigate noise and traffic and light pollution. I'd like to thank you for your time this afternoon and allow me to speak to the board. I ask you to take a moment here, level set, and really ask yourselves how certain you are to render a vote and approve. This decision is way too important to rush. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Brenda McDonald. Brenda McDonald.
Good afternoon. Last but not least, I'm here regarding our...
Could you state your name and speak into the microphone?
Brenda McDonald. I'm
Thank you.
27-year resident of Elmont, and I'm here to speak about our water usage. And the area is currently supplied with water from aquifers. 3 key aquifers supply much of the water for all of Long Island. The Water Authority of Western Nassau County supplies over 2,800 customers and serves over 120,000 individuals. The water system is operating according to the scale for the number of residents and visitors that are currently located in the region. The proposed project would significantly increase the demands on the water and the sewage systems in the Elmont area and surrounding areas. Although the draft EIS suggests that there will be a redirection of sewage from the site, there is no clear indication of where the additional sources of potable water will come from. The only available sources that have the capacity to supply water to the proposed development would most likely come from the Water Authority of Western Nassau County. There have not been any clear discussions about how the additional infrastructure upgrades necessary to supply this sustained surge in water use will be financed. Consider, for example, in 2008, Belmont Stakes that left many residents without water. It would be unacceptable for the residents of the area to have to bear the burdens of increased water prices, water scarcity, and stress on the sewage system because of the project of this magnitude. Also, we learned that the developers there was a development of a parking lot from the church in our neighborhood that impacted the sump that's on Dutch Broadway to flood because there are no sponges the sponge for the water doesn't allow the water to go down. So this was for a parking lot for a church. Imagine the magnitude for the arena. Please, before you make any decisions about what to do, just do some more investigation to find out. We also have a water problem of great magnitude in Elmont with cancer. So please, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Frank Gunther.
My name is Frank Gunther. I'm the chairman of the Architectural Review Board in the Village of Floral Park. I'm one of those people who attended the meetings in January, 6 months ago, and I wrote individual letters. I did not sign a form letter, but wrote my own letters. My concern at the time was traffic and transportation issues, and I remember reading back then that a transportation mitigation plan would be created after this was built, and the problem, in effect, was being kicked down the road, figured out later on after the problem becomes more acute. I'm appealing to this group. You're all professionals. You all have taken the time to listen to us. You've taken 6 months to answer the comments that we have given to you, and you're giving us 15 days before you act on it. To my mind, that's not fair. I think this is such a serious project. You build it, it'll be there forever. You have to take the time to carefully understand the problems that not addressing the transportation issues will pose for the people who live there. Let me cite a few examples. I heard today, and I have not read the new FEIS, but the notes I took, the retail would be reduced from 350 to 315,000. That's 10% of the square foot. Peanuts. No change. It's still a big mall. Number 2, I heard there was an option considered that we will see when we read the FEIS, that they considered building no retail and just leaving the parking. It would have no or a negligible impact on transportation in the community. That strains credulity. That can't be possible. We now hear about a Long Island Railroad station being built in the Belrose area. That would require people getting off that train to get on a bus. That would mean buses to take the large number of people coming and going from events. It would mean that people from Elmont would have to go up through Floral Park, Plainfield Avenue, across the border between the North Lot and the Village of Floral Park to get to the station and come back. That's an environmental impact statement generator all in itself. Why is there not time to look at that and study that in a draft format before we get to this rush to judgment to build this project without understanding where we're going? One more thing I heard today was that that railroad station would reduce the amount of private cars from 83 to 48% of the people coming to this site. Without understanding how that works, without the details, without environmental impact studies, how can you make a statement like that? So in short, I'm saying, do not rush. Do not be pressured by politicians or some game plan or some agenda set by a developer. Be judicious, be smart, be doing the job that you were given to do here, and be responsible to your community and to your local residents. And take the time, let us participate with you in seeing the impact of these changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Patricia Ronan.
My name is Patricia Ronan. I'm a Floral Park resident, and I remain concerned about the dramatic expansion of the Belmont project from what was originally proposed. Also, the process has been fraught with improprieties. The plan violates Hempstead Town zoning restrictions, something that Empire State apparently got around by quietly overriding those ordinances. The state is only allowed to override local zoning rules under very limited circumstances, and we are still waiting to hear ESD's justification for flouting our local rules. The Belmont Park redevelopment project is being improperly regarded as separate from other changes planned for Belmont by the New York Racing Association. Our lawyers say that the impacts of both projects must be considered together, meaning the entire impact process should be started over. ESD does not seem to be following the SECRA requirement to give the public a meaningful opportunity to review and comment on the proposal. The time between release of the final environmental impact statement and ESD's planned issuance of its findings is way too short, not to mention the timing of this meeting. Our beef is not with the Islanders or their fans. It's just that the complex is too big. Even at 380,000 square feet of the retail and office space combined, which is allegedly what it is now, although maybe that's not even the case, that makes it half the size of Roosevelt Field. The arena would host more than 300 events per year. Add in the retail village and hotel, you have an estimated 45,000 people coming to Belmont each day. Belmont Stakes Day is a traffic nightmare in Floral Park. This would make it Belmont Stakes Day every day. We are already burdened by severe slowdowns on our major streets, and worse, emergency response time would be slowed, risking lives. This plan will strain infrastructure and law enforcement, eliminate open space, increase pollution, noise, and crime. We ask you to reconsider and reissue the final statement as a draft and have a new comment period. Also, reconsider the placement of the new full-time Long Island Railroad station to someplace that would actually benefit the community of Elmont. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Donna Lindskog.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Lindskog, and I'm a Floral Park resident. Just a couple of points that I wanted to reiterate. We have mentioned several times, practically everybody, the transportation and the lack of a solution is really a problem. If the access to public transportation was ideal, the Barclay Center would have been the ideal home for the Islanders, but it wasn't. We're setting the Islander organization up for failure once again. We're going to put them into an arena and into a community that cannot accommodate them. The solution for them going to games and having those moments with their families will be lost because they'll get into Floral Park and they won't be able to get out. The Floral Park community will die around it, and it will truly impact not only Floral Park, but Elmont, Belrose, all of the community villages that are around there that are thriving and supporting that area, they will soon die based on this proposal if it's not scaled back. So we ask you to please take the time, scale back if possible. Again, look at the transportation impact that this has on our arena, and do right by the islanders. Give them a home on Long Island that they can live in, they can stay in for a very long time. Unfortunately, it's not Floral Park or Elmont. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is Travis Williams.
Hello, my name is Travis Williams, President of Business Operations for the New York Islanders and also a Long Island resident. I know it's been a long day, so I'll be very brief in my remarks. I just wanted to thank again Governor Cuomo and his staff. Also wanted to thank ESD and its staff and all the others that have been involved in this process all along. I know it's been not only a long day, but a long process overall. But most importantly, I really want to thank those that came out and spoke, not only now today, but also in the past, both for and against this project, because what it shows me is that there's a lot of passion. A lot of passion for something that's really important, and while even those who spoke against it, they may not necessarily be in favor of what is coming out. But at the end of the day, what they did is they pushed us to do something that was important, and that's take a project from good to great. And I've seen that in the past with other projects that I've been involved with in Pittsburgh, which is where I came from, and building both a stadium and an arena there. And it's the community voice that takes you from good to great. And we're at the moment now where we can do something really great together. We are going to be members of this community. We are members of the community already, but we will be active members of the community. We've moved our headquarters to Floral Park. Our new home will be in Elmont. And we will be active members of the community. We will not just stop collaborating through this process. We will continue to collaborate and be an active member of the community and work with you. So again, I want to thank everybody for being so passionate about this project and being so vocal about it so that we can do something great together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us today and speaking. Thank you. I want to take a moment to thank Tom Conoscenti, Rachel Schatz, Richard Dorado, and all the staff who have worked so hard on this project. I want to remind folks that you're being asked today to vote on the final EIS, and towards the end of the month, the project will be returned to the ESD board for a final consideration. There will be additional opportunity, as we stated, for folks to submit comment through the 23rd of July, and the FEIS will be available on our website, I think, right? So if there are no further comments or questions, I take a motion.
I just wanted to say before we take a motion, I too wanted to thank everyone for attending to express your views both in support and against the plan, and for raising very important, relevant issues today. So thank everybody in the community.
Thank you. Move it.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you for joining us today. Oh, can motion to adjourn?
Move.
Thank you. So moved.
You know.